Do I just turn on the oven and stick the ham in? That seems too easy.
Jason is my son, and today is his birthday. You could have dinner with us. My brother makes good head cheese. Candyman, I get cheese. Candyman. We all go a little mad sometimes.
Hello and welcome to the final podcast, the last podcast you will ever listen to. We are the creators of the Spooky Pit, the innovators of the Passion Bump, and we are taking you down the darkest rabbit holes of horror.
We review horror movies and then fuck them with humor. We are your final bros, Brian Hotboy LaGrasta and Shane. Let's talk sex position and let's make Mulan. I'll take you, and the Asian girl in the corner who secretly wishes she was white, Smith. And we were joined by our Scream Queen, Jen the producer, and in studio, always backed by popular demand, an innovator and creator of the Passion Bump, the Rewrite,
Passion.
Mike G.
Hello. Good to be here. Good to be back.
Welcome back.
Couple new things.
We got a studio. I'm in
Yes,
a
we
studio
do.
right
Yeah,
now.
we're in the studio.
I'm not sweating my ass off.
This is true.
And we got a new team member, yeah?
Yes.
Someone to finally class up the place.
That's fair.
Thank
That is
you.
fair.
It's not
Yeah,
coming.
especially because Brian's coming out with these cringier nicknames.
Yeah, that was a lot. Like, a
You
lot.
think they're getting longer?
Yeah,
I loved it.
I mean, I just feel like that was a lot to take in all at once.
it kind of reminds me of like long anime titles, like "Can I Eat Your Pancreas" or something like that.
How to pick up girls in a dungeon?
Don't
Oh
give
my
Brian more ideas for nicknames for me.
All he has to do is Google long anime titles and he'll be set.
God.
Also, I'm very excited to be back doing a re-review of Truth or Dare.
That is correct.
Now I know. I wish that was what we were doing, but we clearly stated we were doing Black Christmas 2019.
Yeah.
No, we
Apparently-
talked about this. We were going to re-review, and you guys were going to bump your score up to my level, which is like a 9 instead of a 2 or 3. You know what I'm saying?
Is that just for Lucy Hale?
Pretty much.
I dibbed her.
I like the other girl in the movie.
Oh my God. All right, we're not arguing about this because we have a very interesting movie to talk about.
Yes. I'm glad I'm here for this one because this is an achievement in cinema, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's a blend of genres, and it's like the new horror of 2019. Like, this is the new thing. We're trending in this new direction of this like slasher horror goodness.
They should have tried harder then.
Yeah.
They also should have bumped it to an R rating. Do you guys agree?
That was like a thing that the other Black Christmases were originally going to also be PG-13, but they bumped them all to an R rating due to like the content of the film, and people were pissed that this one got a PG-13 rating. People were also pissed that apparently you didn't actually have to watch the movie if you'd seen the trailer, because the trailer had so many spoilers in it that people were just
You're right. They have the cult in the spoiler.
I haven't seen the trailer. Have you seen it, Shano?
No. I just watched the movie, and I don't need to ever see the trailer.
No, they actually, you're right, Jen. They unveil Carrie Yules' character Gelson in the trailer. And,
As the killer?
I mean, it couldn't be more obvious anyway, but still,
Yeah.
like, why would they put that in the trailer?
Yeah, no, if that's the case, that's terrible. And this is like what's interesting also about this movie being like rated PG-13 is it's like one of a very select few slasher movies that are actually PG-13. Like some of the ones that were mentioned were like Cry Wolf or Prom Night, the remake in 2008. Slasher movies, for the majority, are always rated R.
As
And-
they should be.
And all of those movies you mentioned are trash. So
Yeah.
there's a theme there.
We've already discussed in the last 2 episodes for Black Christmas, this one really has no relation. Now, I tried really, really hard to pick up on little references. There's very few that I'll point out when they happen because they're very blatant. The only been known reference that I could really find that was like a thing back to the old one is that the cat's name is Claudette.
Yeah, they played it off Claude. And it's interesting factoid about that. Shane knows. He was mentioning it prior.
This is something I read on IMDb. So if it's false, blame IMDb. But apparently they had a male cat and then they decided to go with a female cat so they can name it Claudette. So they returned the male cat to the shelter and got a female.
That is
Now, if that is
true.
not true, blame
it's true.
IMDb, but I did read that.
I
It's
believe
very
it.
true.
Good looking cat too.
You know, I'm kind of sad. I need a cat. I need a basement cat. I could have used Claude.
Everyone needs a cat.
However, though, if you remember in the original, that Claude gets in some interesting spaces in the attic and gets some characters killed.
Well, we'll get to Claudette because she has some questionable decision making at the very end of this movie.
That is true. After the credits.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
So-
that's right.
I was
Yeah.
wondering if you guys stuck around to watch that.
I had to because I
Me
need to
too.
listen to the whole song again.
Great song.
I'll be honest with you. Shane loves the song.
So this is the thing. I think the song works when they're not filming the girls in the movie singing it.
You know, that was weird because, like, I don't want to get too deep into it, but when they were doing it on stage, I feel like the crowd was just like,
That's what it is. The way it's shot is so kind of cringy.
It's
and
really weird.
It's tough to watch.
Yeah.
But when just the song is playing in the credits,
It's got like a
it's kind of
charm.
catchy.
it's a little charm to it.
They also talk about how good of a singer like all the girls are, and then they started, and I was like, "This is some shit." Like I don't
Oh my god.
like
Same.
I'm so
Literally
confused.
me. Literally me, dude.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to say they have terrible voices, but they chalked it up to them being like American Idol level, and I'm like, I'm still waiting.
Yeah. I'm with you. Let's jump right into the spooky pit.
Female sorority sisters are stalked by a killer during Christmas break and are exposed to a dark practice within a Hawthorne College fraternity. This movie is directed by Sophia Takal, and I'll tell you what, she looks great in a pantsuit. It's a horror mystery, and I just want to say, this stars several women because this is definitely a very heavy female-driven cast, as the previous Black Christmases were, because they take place in sororities. I am gonna, and I hope I don't butcher this actress's name. She's been in many movies, but we've seen her in countless interviews where they never actually say her name. So if we're wrong, please correct us in the Instagram comments as well, or DM us the correct name or pronunciation, because I'm sure this is wrong. Imogen Poots as Riley,
Dib.
Alice Shannon as Chris, dib for Shane, Lily Donahue as Marty, Brittany O'Grady as Jesse, Caleb Ebenhart as Landon, and Carrie Ewells as Professor Gelson.
Also dib.
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah, that is fair.
So going into the cast before we actually talk about the movie, they're all bad in this movie, male and female. The main girl, Riley, is okay at times, but it's not an acting problem. It's a script problem.
It is a script problem.
And that's really what it is.
Yeah,
I think we kind of summed it up. You know, this movie should have been rated R. It's PG-13.
Sure.
It's like not a horror movie. It's a mystery. There's no blood in the film. The deaths are horrible.
They're all off screen.
I don't want to talk about our segment we do at the end of the movie, but it's going to be the hardest movie to put someone in a Necronomicon for. Like, it really is.
I guess I have one person in mind that I'm not really attached to any of these characters, so
That's
I
the
don't
problem.
particularly care. I only have this person in mind because I was just like, "It sucks to be you," but I think you could guess who it is at that point. We'll get there.
Yeah, we definitely will.
We have too long of a ways to go.
Can we talk about the quote?
Yeah.
I was going to bring in the quote because I think that kind of sets the tone of the movie right off the get-go.
Yeah. It does.
Calvin Hawthorne's quote: "Man possesses powers so formidable they can only be deemed as supernatural. With the proper education, man can wield these powers and go forth into the world."
You got anything to say about this quote?
Yeah. What the fuck? What does that mean, dude?
Accurate.
I feel
I
like
have
we could
a
get a whole please explain to me just for like the whole 93-minute runtime.
Well, the reason why that quote's in there, I think it kind of sets the stage.
Yeah, this alpha male, dude. Like conquer.
You're talking about the alpha male, meaning Calvin Coolidge?
Calvin Hawthorne. Calvin Coolidge, I believe, was a president.
All right. I get them confused because, like, one sounds like he's cool and one sounds like he's a city in New Jersey.
Okay.
Yo,
Do you think he's compensating for something?
100%.
I'll rail on alpha males a little later.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of trash talk on these frat boys.
But like when I pause to read this quote, it's just nothing. It's so much nothing. Like it means nothing.
It's a nothing burger. Okay, but now we open in the sorority house, trading gifts. One of the only scenes that are reminiscent of any of the 74 or the 06. You're not going to get much after this if you like the older movies. They're looking for this one girl, Lindsay, now, right? Because they have a gift for her. Una is the girl's name that has the gift to give her?
Yeah, she's at the library, Lindsay.
So Una calls her up and she asks her where she is, and she's leaving to visit her grandma for Christmas.
Correct.
Yeah.
Can we talk about this fire gift?
Yeah, I do want to talk about the fire.
That Una
gift.
has for Linz?
Yeah, bring it up. You asshole. Just
It's
say
a vibrator.
It is a
It's
vibrator.
a vibrator. So you won't need boys
Ain't
next
no-
semester, right?
Ain't need no man. You got the vibrator.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good gift, to be honest.
But she's walking home alone.
And if there's one thing I've learned, when a girl walks home alone at night, that's when a vampire gets you.
But not
So-
in this movie.
So this is actually the part that I'm going to relate to a murder.
Lindsay is walking by herself, and she starts to get these texts from a Calvin Hawthorne account, who is the dead founder of the school.
It's
Like we said.
literally the bust of his face on the text.
Yes.
It's so funny, dude. I laugh every time I see
I
it.
actually have a question. If you got a text from a number you don't have, how would the picture come with it?
I have the answer to that question. It's called black goop.
In all seriousness, is there a way that like a text from a number you don't have would come with a picture like that?
If
probably-
they have-
the app called that? they
Yip
were-
yap. Yip yap.
Is that a real thing?
No. But maybe that is why.
Okay.
I thought they were getting their text through an app. It didn't. I mean, maybe like it just had a different phone, but the format that it looks like, it would look like they were getting text through like an app. And like in college, we used WhatsApp and like a bunch of other apps to communicate with group members. So I think that
Correct.
would make more sense.
Yeah.
True. So that person would have like a profile pic and it'd be the
Yeah.
bust of Cal. Okay. So that does make sense.
Yeah, that'd be really creepy and dumb, but go for it.
No, like we had one at my college too. Same thing. Like we had our own app service that you could just
Mhm.
message people and you could get updates if there was bears on campus.
Okay. So as this girl is walking and getting these yip yap messages, we'll call it, there's a guy who's also walking behind her.
But what did the yip yap messages say, Shaney?
It had a pig and a cat emoji.
Also, great line here from the homie Calvin. What do a Christmas ham and a sorority girl have in common?
They both squeal before they die.
Yep,
He's a real comedian, this guy.
So rude.
on fire.
She sees the guy like behind her now texting as well. So she's starting to think like maybe he's sending these messages.
Well, she's panicking.
She is.
She's looking and she like looks back, right? And the guy's like looking down. And then
Well, he's
look-
on his phone too.
Yeah,
so-
and he's looking up at her. So she starts like panicking. Like I panic when I have regular whole milk.
That's for a different reason.
Yeah. So she starts to speed up her walking as one would do in a situation like that.
Brian, stop
And-
drinking milk.
And he also kind of picks up his walking,
Yeah, he picks up his
which
face.
is strange when you see where this goes, which is just,
He's probably just speed walking, dude.
Yeah.
You ever speed walk?
it's like they're both going for a bus. And since she's walking faster, he's like, shit, the bus is coming sooner. I got to speed up. But yeah, so he does veer off and goes into his own house.
I actually thought that was hilarious. She's like
Bro.
she's like ready to turn around and gut him.
Yeah.
And he literally just takes a 45-degree angle the other way.
She also just like, she doesn't yell at him. I don't know what she does. She makes like a noise, like a guttural noise. He has no reaction to it.
So he's home.
Yeah, she like has her keys in between her hands like
Yeah.
a makeshift shank.
What was the note that you read on that of why they kept using the keys in the hands?
Okay. Yes. So that's another thing I read.
I do that.
Well, no, that's what that's what it's for.
It's a female defense
Yeah.
mechanism.
Yeah, so basically the director wanted to do the whole keys thing multiple times because later on when she actually stabs the guy in the throat with the keys, it's like a common thing that girls do when they walk home alone is hold their keys to use as a weapon. And that's why she wanted to actually use it as a weapon in the movie.
I mean, that's kind of relatable in general. I thought they made the girls, like if you just wanted general college girls, I thought the girls were extremely relatable in that sense. Because I was like, yeah, I do that all the time. I walk home with I detach my pepper spray and I walk to my car with pepper spray in one hand and keys in the other. Because I've almost been picked up like plenty of times after overnight jobs.
Oh, trust me, my girl Hayden Panettiere, I tell her all the time, I'm like, you have to walk with like mace and like knives and like you got to protect yourself with your
Yeah,
keys.
you're always telling that to Hayden.
To be fair, I also walk with my keys in my hand when I walk alone at night. This is an
Yeah,
interesting fact
it's
I
a
throw
good
in there.
defense
It's a safety mechanism,
Yeah.
you know? I ain't big. I ain't fending anyone off. I could get kidnapped at the age of
Shane.
29 right now.
I've seen your calves. They're fire.
I could run. That's my defense mechanism.
Shane could literally choke somebody out with his calves. And Mike tastes hard.
I do. Great palate on this guy.
Okay, we're getting sidetracked though. This is another thing. I know Riley's name. I know Chris's name. I know Jess's name. Some of the other girls, no clue what their names are.
I got them all.
Okay,
I
perfect.
don't.
So that's good.
I love it. I love it, Jen.
I'm staying on brand. I don't know anybody's name.
So once the guy goes into his house, this is when we get the first appearance of the man in the cloak, correct?
Yeah.
Which, where is he standing exactly?
Because she like watches the guy go in and she gets like this sigh of relief. She turns around and bam, he's right behind her.
So this is when she runs and starts slamming on a door to get help.
Nobody's answering that door.
No.
No.
And this is when the guy, like, he comes back from behind, right? When she walks away.
Am I the only one that thought Lindsay's acting here was pretty terrible?
You're not.
When she first sees
Not.
the hooded guy, literally no reaction.
No.
It was super cringy.
It's not good. That's why I said most of these characters are just, it's not well done.
Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas. I guess we should say that now, midway through. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Doesn't she start like running up to the houses? She does what any like rational person would do in this instance. You run to like the closest house and you start knocking on the door. But she only does that to one house. Like if someone doesn't answer, I would just go to the next house.
After she's knocking on the door, the guy in the cloak kind of like disappears again. So she goes to call her friend, but her friend doesn't answer. And then the guy in the cloak reappears.
Yep.
So this is a magic cloak guy now. We've established this. So then she starts to like run, but she falls.
Classic horror.
They try to veer off in the horror genre in every possible way, except for the classic girl falling.
Now,
Yeah.
this
I mean, it's icy.
it is icy.
Yeah,
That's
that
fair.
is
that
icy.
fair.
Point. That's a great
Yeah.
It is icy.
So this would have been a please explain to me if I didn't see the rest of the movie, because she does now run to another door, knock on it, and the cloak guy answers.
Yeah.
And it would have been a please explain to me, but we all know why there's a second cloak guy at the door.
Of course.
Yeah.
This isn't good though, because he reaches up, he grabs an icicle, and
And this is a flex to Black Christmas. The '06 version, I have to mention it. The icicle doesn't fall and impale somebody, but he does take it from the top of that house.
yes. And from this moment, she then gets stabbed in the chest. There is absolutely no blood because we've realized no one in this movie actually has blood in their body. She makes a beautiful snow angel and she is dragged away.
It was a good
So-
angle.
They don't even like attribute this to the original Black Christmases, the scene. They actually attribute this death to the death of Betsy Ardsma. If I said that name wrong, I apologize. Correct me on Instagram. It's a reference to the so-called misogynistic murder of Betsy Ardsma. And she was a Pennsylvania college student who was stabbed to death in her chest with a knife. Her murder is unsolved still, so that's a cold case. I'm sure a podcast has covered that if you would like to listen or have any information to call any of the tip lines. But that's who they attributed reference of this death to. But even they say on IMDb they did such a bad job.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're just
Did she
like,
die with the snowman? The snow angel, I mean?
Yeah, that's like, so was that exactly how it was? Like with like kind of the angel left in place of the snow, or?
yeah, like people took photos of like where it was.
Okay.
I mean, obviously you're not allowed to publish those, but you know, the media will do
course.
that. But she was stabbed with an icicle. Unfortunately, because it was an icicle, that
Gotcha.
murder is unsolved. Because apparently that and pigs are the way to go when killing people if you don't want to get caught. This is not an advice on how to
It's
kill people,
pigs
by the
eat up.
way.
It's
Yeah,
true, because if
pigs.
you stab someone with an icicle, the weapon melts.
Mhm.
Oh, she.
So the murder of Betsy is a 50-year-old case. If you want more information on it, you can go to truecrimefiles.com or lancasteronline.com. They have much more information if you're more interested in that case.
Cut to the next day. Our main character, Riley, is awoken by, as we have established, female cat Claudette, because this is an all-female cast, even
Yeah.
the cat.
Yeah. So this is obviously the throwback to the '74 version where you had Claude the cat.
All right, me and Brian had this conversation off air. So now we're going to ask Jen. A girl runs in and says she needs her.
Diva Cup.
Yes.
Cup.
I got to ask what this is.
So
What
Uh,
is the Diva Cup?
to use a Diva Cup, you know how tampons can sometimes have added chemicals and shit?
Yep.
Sure.
No,
Not
I'll be
real
honest, I know
cotton.
nothing. So,
So tampons sometimes don't have real cotton in them, so they'll have like added chemicals that like are just unhealthy for your body. So people will use a Diva Cup, which
Yep.
is a silicone cup in place of that, which just catches the blood and you empty it in the toilet. It's just
And,
a better and
she-
safer way to deal with your period. So go try Diva Cups.
Okay.
We're not sponsored.
There we go. Because Fran is going to shove that thing right in her cooch.
Right there.
No, she does. She
I could be
does
wrong.
she does the high school thing because she can't find her Diva Cup, and she shoves tissues down there to catch everything because she doesn't have her Diva Cup.
Oh, that's right. She shoves the tissues
Yeah.
down there. But real hard.
Yeah.
Real hard.
Super hard.
I mean, she's
Yeah.
Did you
not-
guys catch how she said she lost her Diva Cup?
no.
With abandon, she says?
With abandon. It just vanished.
What does that mean?
That she lost it with abandon?
Yeah.
Like she lost it, but she lost it so hard.
Yeah, it's like a hard loss.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
But it's an important point.
No, it actually is. That's why I want to also bring it up. One, I want to learn what it was. And two, this is going to come back into play. Like, this Diva Cup is very important to the plot of the movie, and I'm not joking when I say that. Then Riley goes downstairs, and another girl approaches her and says how great she was in her performance.
She's a good singer.
Yes, which we'll learn she isn't. She then meets her little. In sororities, you have a big, who is like your like older sister in the sorority, and then you have a little, which you sponsor. And she gives her little her lucky hair comb. Right? Hair comb is what it was.
They refer to it as a comb. I thought it was a hair piece, or it could be both.
Yeah, I think they call it a hair comb.
I have a hair pick written down in my notes.
It looks like a pick, but they do refer
That's
to
fair.
it as a comb.
So she gives that to her little, who is Helena. And Helena now has that in her hair. Also very important to the plot.
This is also considered a lucky hair piece handed down from generation to generation, from moo to moo. And with a sorority named Moo Moo, I was thinking, I'm just going to be honest. I was thinking Wales. I was thinking just like a fat sorority. Is that fair? Am I mean?
A little bit.
No.
Were you guys ever in fraternities?
No.
Absolutely not.
They would have hated me.
That is not a group of people I would have ever fit in.
I've been to a frat house. The floors were super sticky.
That's the worst part. If you're in a frat house, you might not come home with your shoes because they'll be stuck to the floor.
That's true. I was never in a sorority because when I did community college first, so by the time I got to regular college, I was already 21 and I didn't need to like drink booze out of someone's basement because I could just go out and buy it myself.
Gotcha.
Got it.
Yeah, that's much better anyway.
Also, I think I told you this yesterday. The first time I ever drank alcohol was on my birthday at age 21. So probably wouldn't even have worked either.
No, because they would have made you binge drink before that.
You think so?
Probably. We also learn about this hair comb that there's a elaborate backstory about her sister handing it down to her because of a performance that she was nervous about, and then the hair comb made her better. And then we find out that entire story was a lie and shouldn't have been in the movie.
The holidays are about looking sexy. Do we agree?
No,
Jen, as a female, is that a true statement?
that is not. I mean, if you're going to parties, like with your friends, like if you're coming home from college, maybe if you're going to like a party, then sure, why not? But for me, the holidays are about just like being home with my family who I don't get to see all the time. And I'd rather be in a sweater and be comfortable.
That's fair.
I feel it.
I think Halloween would be the only one where everyone's trying to look sexy.
You're not trying to look sexy on Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
and stuff.
exactly.
No, because this is my philosophy.
Oh, God.
On a holiday, if you're not going out and trying to get an erection, you're doing something wrong.
Exactly,
You
dude.
got to go out and expect to be rock hard
Rock
24/7 on the holiday.
Easter, it's all about being sexy. Anyway,
What am I listening to?
But they are on a college
Oh my God.
campus. They are on a college campus. So technically,
yeah, that's why I brought
yeah,
it up.
technically it is all about looking sexy because later that she even says that the thing they're doing later is they're going to the fraternity and they're putting on a show and doing all that. So she's like, don't you want to dress up for these guys? And no, they're all assholes. You wouldn't want to dress up for any of them. You should actually just get out of there and leave and never come back.
Very important. The Christmas decoration that goes off.
The monkey with the chimes?
Isn't
Yes,
it?
it's a monkey with
Okay,
chimes.
that's what
Is
it
it? I
is.
thought it was
And,
a Santa.
Jess says it woke her up at.
Yeah, it's a Santa with a bell. Like he's like the bell that Goldberg rings in Santa's
Yeah.
sleigh.
But Jess complains that it woke her up at 4 a.m. And this little Santa boy comes into play later.
He's the best character in the movie.
I'm gonna go with the cat.
I agree. Or the headpiece. Not
Oh
the
my
headpiece.
God.
I'm sorry, the headstone.
The head's God.
Oh, the bust.
I love that
The
bust.
bust,
bust.
the bust is the best character in this film.
It is. So she grabs a banana and she leaves eating it, and that's the only passion bump I'm going to give this movie. Is Riley
I'm
eating a
fine
banana
with that.
because you ain't getting anything else.
Shane, you got a food fetish that we don't know about?
It's a long banana.
Yeah,
It's tasty. Mike tastes hard.
Very potassium. You know,
Potassium. But I think if you eat too many bananas, I think, what, do you have trouble pooping? Is
yes,
that
you do. It
that's the thing?
backs you up. Yeah, but we're not here to talk about poop. Oh wait, yeah, we are. We're here to talk about Carrie Uhl's career decisions because now he's in this movie, and he is now this teacher who is reading a passage from an author that we don't know who the author is.
Jen does. Jen knows
I
who
don't
the
know
author
who the
is.
author is, but I do have a reference. I was waiting to bring this up. I was so excited. I thought it was so good. I was cracking myself up. What's the professor's name again? Because I don't know how to print. I don't know.
Gelson.
Gelson,
Gelson.
yes.
So Professor Gelson is inspired by Jordan B. Peterson and is meant to be an unflattering parody of him. And the character was also based on Brett Kavanaugh, the justice on the Supreme Court that was brought in by Donald Trump. This character is directly inspired by him. If that tells you.
I didn't get the Jordan
all
Peterson
he's
thing,
like.
to be honest with you. Yeah, I didn't get the Jordan Peterson thing because Jordan Peterson is actually Canadian. Like, I didn't get it. Like, the guy was super British, this guy's Canadian, and like Peterson's like a psychologist. Like, he just didn't fit for me. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know enough about him to really say. I just know I wish Carrie Ewells wasn't in this movie because I like him and I hate him in this movie.
I find it so funny that that's who this character is based off of because it makes you think that someone met him personally and was like, ew.
Well, a lot of people do hate him.
Let's get back to Carrie Ewells now. He reads this passage, like we said, and then he's like, what does this mean to anyone? And everyone raises their hand except Riley. So he calls on Riley to explain it.
I know that feeling. I never raised my hand in school.
That-
I was always getting called on, Shane.
That literally never happens in college, though. Because I think what would happen is the professor would be like, okay, people, pay attention. I need a show of hands. I don't think they would just choose somebody randomly, but it seems to happen in every movie I watch all the time.
I think he was just picking on Riley.
Her. Yeah, that's what it seems like. Well, he has ulterior motives.
Sure does.
When she's describing what this passage is about, she constantly says he. And he's like, what makes you think this was a man who wrote this? And then he's like, you would be surprised to know this was a female. And he goes into this whole thing.
But he doesn't
he
say
also
who it
reveals.
was.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
who
So
wrote
you
it?
don't act.
He gives the name of who wrote it.
Dr. Camille Paglia.
Yep.
Oh,
He
okay.
definitely did. But then he reveals the petition that Chris has against him, trying to get him fired.
Yeah, like there's a petition circulating to have him fired. And I think he goes on to say, he's like, I'm not having secret meetings with the men with all this hidden knowledge.
He is.
He definitely is. You can see it in the fucking trailer.
It's also like quite accurate. Like when she brings up why she wants this petition, it's good reasoning. Like I don't think it's a bad reason. I think it's very good because she asked him a simple question about like the curriculum.
Yeah, which we'll get to that right now. So when class ends and Riley goes outside, Chris is out there with the petition. And that's when she mentions
signatures. You know?
Yes, she mentions what Jen says. It's like that he's like misogynistic and like what exactly happened with that situation?
So she asks him in the beginning of the semester, it's like a reference back to it, that she was curious why all their curriculum consisted of cisgender white males because there were no women, there were no people of color. That was it. It was just cisgender white males that were referenced in all of their curriculum. And it was very much like what we just saw him read in class. It was very sexist. And she just asked why there was no people of color or women referenced in his curriculum. And he apparently blew up on her, like, I guess, in front of the whole class.
I think someone even mentioned, he says, well, it's like the classics that he's reading. And then she's like, well, they're not my classics.
Yeah, Marty's like, well, he's reading, she's like, these are the classics. And she's like, they're not my classics. So then she should probably teach the class.
I mean,
Also-
it's a fair thing because each culture would have what they consider their own classics. So like he reading like classics, he would consider like what his like culture would consider classics, but it might not be what another culture considers their classics.
Can I be truthfully honest with you though? In college, there are so many like specific, I guess you could call them gender studies, humanities courses, whatever you want to label them. But like, just say if it's not something you like, then like leave the class because there's tons of other ones that people don't like. I was in 100 classes I wanted to leave.
There was but we
accurate.
also don't know what class it was. Like we don't know the specifics of the class. Like if the class should technically have included other viewpoints. It's a fair assessment, I believe. And it's also super unfair that he had to embarrass her in front of the whole class, which also, I don't know if you guys noticed, the majority of his class is female. So that probably is kind of a giveaway that whatever he's teaching is sort of now turning into a very female dominant category versus what maybe it used to be, since this was apparently a school run by a guy named Hawthorne that was apparently very, very sexist. We'll find out. But
He was very, very everything.
Yeah, because I think this is where Chris even mentions Calvin Hawthorne was a racist and a sexist, and he had slaves in the North.
Yeah, and not to mention he was into the dark arts.
Yeah, so he's basically Voldemort.
which they just throw
I
in
actually-
there. They just throw in that he was
Yeah.
into the dark arts and they don't elaborate on it in the entire movie. Like it comes up briefly to support the story, but no one mentions it at all. Like, no one goes into depth about it. I would have loved to see flashbacks and more about that. I don't understand why they had to just throw that in there. Like, I don't get it whatsoever, and it annoys the crap out of me.
You're right. So like, okay, he's a piece of shit, right? He hates women. He hates different races, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's into the occult, the dark arts, practically a warlock.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, and also he killed disobedient women like in like ritualistic sacrifices to male pagan gods. But the way she explained it, she didn't like, she made it seem like it's so out there that it like can't be true.
Yeah, it's actually all true.
Yeah.
And also, most pagan gods are female.
Yeah, you worship your golden calves. You worship your golden calves. I mean, I'm not gonna do it, but Shane's got some nice calves, I guess.
Really does.
He does.
We're
He
all
has
inclusive
excellent
here on that
calves.
point.
Wait, doesn't his daughter
I do.
also have excellent calves?
I don't have a daughter.
This
I don't
daughter-
I hate this ongoing child thing. I don't have a child.
His daughter has champion calves. That I promise you.
We're at the coffee shop now, which is where Riley works. They have another whole one of these conversations.
In the coffee house?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris kind of goes on a rant about how she like fucking hates Gelson, how she kind of like hates men and wants them all to die.
Mhm.
Very
She said
extreme.
the syllabus, like Jen mentioned, queer people, trans people, people of color. He doesn't put in there. He kind of just keeps going on about how much he hates Gelson because Marty's kind of have like this contentious point with her. It's like, why do you really want to like have this guy like put on the stake and burned alive? And they kind of keep going on and on about it. And then Phil enters.
Well, we also see Landon.
Yeah, Landon comes first.
Landon's
All right.
first.
Oh yeah, I guess Landon does come
Riley's
first.
crush, maybe.
So you said alpha males, right?
yeah,
Got to talk about the beta males. And Landon is very beta. You can't get more beta than
he's
this
pretty
guy.
beta. He's a nice guy, though.
He is a nice guy.
I'm actually going to say he's a piece of shit.
No.
I can't agree with that.
I'm 100% going to
not.
agree with that. Pussy of the highest order. I'll
Well,
get
now
to
you're
the
just
point later.
picking on him.
I'll get to the point
We'll
later.
talk about it.
No, I'm not. And you'll see why. This is a ginormous, I want to say the word cunt, but I will use that word for girls. I will use pussy for guys.
Be
Oh my
equal.
God.
Boys can be cunts too.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
No, he's a
This
he's a
movie,
cunt.
we're going
I mean,
into equality.
I'm all about equal.
In a movie where everyone sucks, Landon sucks. He's not a bad guy.
Disagree.
No. Is
He's
he
a piece
worse
of
than?
shit.
Is he
So
worse than Brian?
No, no.
I'm gonna rant on Brian
Well-
soon, and he's absolutely better.
I actually,
Landon is better.
not-
Yeah,
Yes,
Brian.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
okay, so
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna
I agree with that.
Brian is contentious for me because there's some things I like about Brian, but we'll
Oh,
continue.
fuck
Is it
off.
that you share the same name?
No, I got to get to the point, and I'll tell you why. I
We'll
think
talk about it when Brian's intro. dude.
exactly.
So what we're going to learn now about Landon is that he doesn't mind waiting for coffee, which, you know, that's good. He's a nice guy, just waiting for his coffee.
Flirting.
You can easily tell he has a thing for Riley because they
He's-
kind of give these like glances to each other as he's leaving.
Yeah.
This guy is a fucking creep. I mean,
Landon?
he stares too much. Stares way too much. Dude, get lost.
But she's into it. It would be creepy if she was like, "Why the fuck are you staring at me?" But she's into it.
She smiles at him.
Let's talk about all the times this guy's been in the fucking coffee shop. You stalker. Talk to her, you piece of shit.
He's nervous.
He can
There's
be nervous
probably
all
a
he
lot of
wants,
people.
girl.
Yeah, I'm going to stay out of this one.
Bring the frat guy in.
Yeah,
'cause
bring
now
the real
frat
piece
guy-
of shit in.
Yeah, because this is where Phil walks in, and Phil's mentioning that Brian is coming up.
Mm.
I want to go on the record. I
Oh,
do not.
God.
I do not think Phil is a good guy. Okay, I do not think Phil is a good guy. He's very creepy, ominous presence when he enters the coffee shop. I think we all can agree on that.
Well, how about when he says they're going on a skiing trip and that Riley shouldn't worry because it's consensual, and then gets a drink tossed in his face.
Yes.
Well deserved.
So I'm going to just throw the backstory out here now. This guy, Brian, who we haven't seen yet, 3 years ago, apparently raped Riley. And Riley's
Yeah.
whole thing is that she told the police, she told everyone, but the police do not believe her. So nothing ever happened to Brian. And that's why Phil makes this comment that the skiing trip will be consensual, because he's trying to say what happened between Brian and Riley was, even though it wasn't at all.
So according to like when we gather like more information about it, they were drinking before the performance that is going to happen later tonight. They do this performance every year. So the one that Riley was in 3 years ago, they were drinking and he apparently slipped a roofie in her drink and then took advantage of her. So that's kind of the backstory. And as Shane said, nobody believes her, but everyone knows about it and they really reference it a lot. And this is where I have an issue with this film. And we'll obviously get into it way more later, right before shit goes down. But I have an issue that they put such a heavy topic in this film and they don't own up to it. Cause like later we'll talk when shit goes down, it's right in the middle of getting really deep into the topic. And I just I have an issue with throwing heavy topics aside, just adding them in for the writing and throwing them aside. I hate it.
So you don't like that they throw in this heavy topic and then disregard it so they could do crossbow shots and beat people up with a menorah?
I'm okay with crossbow shots and all that, but I don't like just dismissing it.
Yeah.
Kind of after. It didn't do it any justice. It was kind of like, to me, disrespectful to like that topic in that way.
Yeah, well, if this movie is one thing, it's disrespectful to everyone.
I actually would agree with that. I think there's a lot of disrespect towards everybody. Chris threw the water in his face.
Yep.
And we've not mentioned what a piece of shit Chris is, because she's one of the worst characters in this movie.
She has good intentions. I think she has good intentions. I think she has good intentions, but she doesn't know how to go about them in a better way with better intent. And kind of like one of her fatal flaws is disregarding like the impacts her intentions and what she does have on her friends. Because she's like, oh, this is very good. Very well said. But it impacts her friends in such a negative way. And she doesn't realize that.
She's the kind of person that will interrupt your conversation no matter what, get in your face and force you to do something. And I hate those people.
And see, that's the thing. And that's why I agree with what Jen's saying, but I also agree with you. Like, they are giving her these intentions, but they wrote the character so annoying where you can't side with her despite her having these good intentions.
Well, I can say the same thing about the alphas too, because the writing is so bad. They made these guys out to be like these unrealistic, sinister, like fucking evil dudes. And there's some bad guys out there, but I mean, the way they made Brian, I feel like he's a caricature. Like there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the writing of this movie, I think is just really, really poor.
Yeah.
I think that they could have gone with this like black magic storyline and just made like the other characters a little lighter and not gone so heavy with it. And it probably would have been a much better movie.
Could we also just acknowledge that this movie could have also been better if it wasn't a Black Christmas reboot or remake? If it was just its own movie? I thought you were
going to 1000%, but I also thought you were just going to say it would have been better if it wasn't made.
That 100%. But I think like what makes people hate this even more is if they've seen the 74 or the 06 version and then they saw this expecting to see like Billy the Killer or like something similar. None of that's there. So it's like automatically people are turned away from this movie. Even if the message would have been delivered good, I think people still would have not liked it because of that element.
It's not a remake. It is not a remake.
No.
It's an entire different movie where they took elements, like little pieces from them, but like they're so insignificant, like the cat and the icicle and like that's
the bag.
It. The bag. Yeah, the bag. That's true. The bag.
So now we go to Riley standing outside the Deke house. It's Deke, right? Is the name of this?
DKO is the name of the frat, but they call him Dekes.
Okay. And they're at Deke's Got Talent.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
What the banner says.
So we cut into a conversation that people are having
about pooping. Is that where you're going?
Yeah, it's the poop conversation.
Yeah, super cringy. Chris says she's tired of using cutesy words for pooping.
I don't remember this whatsoever.
Yeah, it's forgettable.
Yeah, it's just meaningless dialogue, but it's like, I don't know. It's a weird conversation to have in the movie. I guess it's trying to make the girls relatable. So, I mean, do girls talk about poop often?
I mean, I do. If I'm going to poop, I'll just get up and be like, all right, gotta go poop. Be right back.
Nice.
Okay, that's all right. So it's relatable.
I mean, I'm not bathroom shy. I'm very blatant.
Me neither.
Like, yeah, I'm about to have food poisoning. Gotta go.
That's fair.
I'm like, I got a pinch of loaf. Anybody want to come with?
Oh God. So Riley's walking around after this and she sees a portrait of Brian, like a beautiful portrait of her rapist, Brian.
First of all, it's the president of the fraternity, right? He's the president from 2015 to 2017.
Yes.
I also don't know how she's just stepping in this place in general. I would never want to go back there because it's like you can tell just from that scene and like her being in there. It's so traumatic just like being in there and seeing just portraits of this guy.
Oh yeah, her PTSD is like constantly like kicking in as like this whole thing is going on.
Yeah, which is accurate to rape victims. They have a lot of PTSD, which is again that this movie laid that heavy topic on like it very intensely. I'm just upset with it because they tried to be accurate and it didn't fit with this movie.
So let's get a little lighthearted because now Riley opens a door. She sees a giant bust of Calvin Hawthorne and it's oozing black goo from its eye. And then she notices that the frat guys are like gooing each other. They're like rubbing the black goo on each other's foreheads.
It's like a ritual.
Yeah, it's what it is.
It's the pledge, right?
Yes, it's the pledges. They're putting the black goo on the pledges' heads. And then she like looks at her hand and notices she has the black goo on her hand.
Of course she does. Fraternitas Fratrum, Shane.
So Riley now plays my favorite game, what's behind door number 1, what's behind door number 2, like we're back in the Wicker Man. But behind the next door is another rape, kind of.
It is not a rape. That is not. It could have been. It could have been.
She stopped it.
She does stop it. Could we call it an attempted rape? Is that what we're going to go with?
Yeah, we can call this an attempted rape.
Can I be honest with you? I actually don't even know if I can go there because this could come into later, but Helen is an interesting character, and we don't know if this was a pay-for-play situation.
Yes.
If you catch my drift.
That is fair. I was just saying, knowing what happens later on in the movie, this whole situation could be a setup, kind of.
I don't know yet.
Yes.
I think this was a complete setup to get Riley on stage. They were already doing the ritual and they already had Hawthorne's bust back there. So they already kind of discovered everything. Or they were discovering everything in that moment. So I think this was a play by Helena, but there's a frat boy. Helena's drunk. They've been drinking, getting ready for this whole scene. And Helena's kind of not into it. Like she's not feeling like having sex at that moment. But the frat boy is it
it's
Phil?
Phil.
This one's Phil.
Yeah, Phil's like all over her and like pushing her on the bed. Like she's very inebriated. She doesn't want this, but she doesn't have like enough strength to stop it. And Riley's like, oh, they need you in there, telling her, oh, we need you to come get ready for the show. And Phil says,
because they're getting interrupted by Riley, he says, you bitches are all the same. You're all teases and things of that nature.
Then he says, nobody believes you, by the way.
He says, Brian would never do what Riley accused him of.
So that's where he says the line. He's full shit because you're going to learn Phil is just as bad as Brian. Maybe worse.
He is worse. Log. I'll spoil everything.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to just.
Brian has one remarkable attribute about him. Just one.
Oh, I can't wait till.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
He's so hot, too. No, he's not.
Oh my God. So after Phil walks out of the room, Helena throws up in his trash bin. Riley basically says that's a surprise for him for later. A good practical joke, a little vomit bag.
The poster art for this movie, Shane, we were talking about this. The Black Christmas poster art. Doesn't it look like the poster art of the Vomit Gore trilogy?
Yes.
Ew.
The way it's like the lettering is kind of like that crayon drawn lettering.
What was that, Shane?
Shut the fuck up. The way it's drawn. It reminds me of like Slaughtered Vomit Dolls.
Yeah, it does.
A movie I haven't seen, I just heard about. Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. Now Riley goes back and she goes back to the other girls. And this is where they're basically getting ready right now to do
for the super sexy talent show. I think it's a talent show.
Rai also sends Helena home in an Uber.
Yeah, she does. Because that's actually important because that's going to come back up. They're like trying to pump Riley up to do this. They want to make her a fighter. They wanted her to fight back for what happened.
Been a lot of hype that Big Bry's coming back. And
I hate this.
About it. You hate this whole scene, or you hate that Big Bry's coming back?
No, I hate that they are convincing her to do this when she has clear PTSD, because I understand trying to lift up your friend, but this doesn't do anything for her. Like she makes direct eye contact with Brian on stage and is literally having a panic attack the whole time.
She's not doing good here, and she probably shouldn't have done it. But I guess they were trying to strengthen her up and build her resolve. I mean, that shit's hard to get over.
Definitely. I wouldn't want to be in her position, especially with the way her friends are egging her on to do something she's very clearly uncomfortable doing.
Speaking of eggs, do you guys like poached eggs?
No.
Okay.
Hard boiled only.
I like scrambled.
I like scrambled too, if they're well done.
Interesting. Okay. Good egg talk.
Now, Shane, do you say egg or egg?
Egg.
Okay.
God, I hate you.
What about devil's eggs if you put them in like the shape of a pentagram?
Oh my God.
We should probably start doing that for the pod.
I like horror movies, but I'm not a very demonic guy. I don't like demons and stuff like that.
I'm a big fan of demons.
Yeah, you would be.
So let's get to the talent show. The girls go out in these Santa outfits.
They're sexy Santa outfits, Shane. Riley never wanted to wear it. She did not want to do this, but guess what? She's in one.
Yeah.
This is when we find out that their singing sucks.
Yeah. All right. So this whole scene is cringy. I'll let you go in on it.
This scene is literally a carbon copy from Mean Girls.
Yes.
It really is, right?
Oh, 1000%.
Another classic.
Would have been better than
Mean
this
Girls
movie.
is great.
Yeah, it really is.
They sing Ho Ho Ho, You Didn't Know. I don't know the name of the actual song. I'm not good with that. But they use their own lyrics about basically the sorority girls coming over to have sex. But then once Riley comes in, when she starts her part, she goes in on Brian and the assault. And what makes this scene very kind of cringy is one, like Jen has said, like Mike has said, the singing is terrible. And two, the crowd reaction
is the worst
wild.
part. It's the worst part because the singing is so bad and the crowd is fucking eating it up. Like they're loving it, but it's so bad. Like it's not even like maybe towards the end it gets a little spicy when she starts calling Brian out, but like in the beginning, like it's not funny. It's not, and they're just going nuts. I'm like, why are you so happy about this performance? Is horrible. And also, Brian is in the back.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the smug look he has on his face while he's looking at Riley, who's like frozen on stage?
Okay, so I just want to point out before I look like an evil person on this podcast, which I am not. Brian has, and I mentioned there's one quality about Brian I like, a remarkable wad of gum in his mouth. And he chews it throughout the whole movie. And he's obviously the sinister guy. And the way they wrote him, they basically wrote him to be the devil. He just chews so much gum. And I'm like, wow, I'd love to know how many sticks of Orbit he has in there.
Do you think he pulled a Veruca and like puts it behind his ear and saves it for later?
I wouldn't doubt it. Like this guy's got so much gum in his mouth. I've seen Shane shove marshmallows in his mouth, about 5 of them last night.
Chubby bunny.
And this guy looked like he was packing more gum than Shane was packing marshmallows.
Yeah. You think you can fit a lot of marshmallows in your mouth? You can't fit a lot of marshmallows in your mouth.
Let's get a count. Shane, go. Start.
I mean, I did it yesterday. It was 5.
He got 5 in, Jen. 5 of the regulars. 5 of the
Wait.
regular marshmallows.
Is that all 5? I had such high hopes for you, Shane.
You know what it is? As you're packing them in, you're like worried about 1 or 3 sliding down your throat and you dying.
Yeah.
So you kind of stop at 5.
Mike, you said you had something to say about Brian.
Yeah, just real quick. The way he looks like he's proud of
What he did.
to Riley raping her. He's like that guy that like in 10 years is going to be like a YouTuber who like uploads pickup artist videos and like acts like he's like God's gift to like all women. Like
he thinks he is.
Full sense of like entitlement. And dudes like that are 100% terrifying and scary.
Yeah, he's scary. He's scary. He's scary for sure. Him and Phil are really dark guys. They were written that way. Literally Satan personified.
Yeah, like they all like think they like get chicks, but it's like it's never consensual. Dudes like that, just 100% scary.
That like actually, Brian's the type of guy who's bragging about getting with Riley, even though he didn't technically get with her.
Yeah,
he had to use a drug.
I do have to be honest and fair with Brian.
He doesn't deserve that.
No, you don't. You don't know what I'm gonna say. You don't know. You don't want to say.
Well, let's hear it.
You're going to say anything about the gum again?
No, the skiing was going to be consensual.
That's about the only thing that guy's ever done that was consensual.
But you cut me off before I said it.
Yeah. Okay.
They don't even go skiing.
That's a good point too.
Shane,
they don't go skiing.
Shane, you better not fucking all man me.
Okay. That's when it starts to get really bad, but we're not there yet.
I just want dudes like that, 100% like micro dick turbo virgins, man. Those guys suck.
Oh, of course.
So now after, the singing is over and Riley has gotten her point across, it was filmed by Marty's boyfriend, Nate. So he got the whole thing on tape.
So as they leave, Riley says maybe that'll teach him not to rape another girl.
Which is actually very important because there's a whole plot line that's going to come from that. They all go outside, they're celebrating, and that's when Riley asks about Helena, if she made it back, and there's a text message about yeeting and Ubers, and it's just a drunk text that she got home.
Yeeting. What is yeeting? I heard that. I don't even know what that means.
I don't either. That's why I said it that way, because it's in the text.
Yeah, wait, you don't know how to yeet?
No, I don't.
It's like, I'm a yeet right out of there.
Okay.
Okay.
Tell me and my friends use it.
After they read the Helena text message, we see Helena. She's actually at the apartment packing. They do show that. And then Landon shows up. And Riley and Landon are kind of like, they're talking, kind of like flirting a little bit, I guess you would call what they're doing.
We got a little Shane Smith joke slid in there.
I hate
Did you
this
catch
fucking
that one,
guy.
Shane?
Wait, what was the joke, Mike? Let me hear it. A joke I would make?
Why is Santa scared of chimneys?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's claustrophobic.
That is a joke I would make.
This guy is literally the worst.
He's not that bad. He's awkward, but he's not that bad.
I thought it was cute.
He's actually the
liked
worst human
it.
being in this movie. And there's rapists, apparently.
Apparently.
I just want to point out, Helena has a necklace and a door hanger of her own name.
Well, it's because she might forget.
And now, Jen, do you have anything like that, or do you know girls who have name necklaces?
Yeah, the necklace name thing's super popular just in general.
Is it?
But I don't know. I mean, you can, I guess, put your name on anything. Personally, that no offense to anyone who has this, I'm very sorry, but it's kind of narcissistic in my opinion when you put your name
Yeah, I
on
thought it was,
everything.
especially the door hanger. I thought it was super obnoxious.
No, oh yeah, I'm with both of you there. Basically, now going back to the conversation Riley and Landon are having, they invite Landon over for the potluck dinner, and
Which is called what?
It's called the Orphans Dinner.
yes, orphans dinner. I guess it's like a little charity thing. They no, it's not. It's all the people who are left behind at Christmas that stay in the house that don't go anywhere for Christmas. They have a little orphan dinner.
Mhm.
Great, let's call it the Orphans Dinner. That's cool.
So now we cut to Helena, and she gets a text from the Calvin Hawthorne, or a DM from Yip Yap, as we are calling it, and saying the time is near. And Helena opens a door, and when she closes it, a person in a cloak is behind her.
That scene fades.
That's it. You are to assume, once again, a character has died off screen.
Then Riley, she has a nightmare, right, about her experiences with Brian, the
Yeah.
rape.
Yep.
Fran is the girl with the Diva Cup, by the way. She mentions that she'll be leaving for break and she needs to catch the train to spend some time with her real sister. Riley carries Claudette down and tells Chris she thinks someone from DKO was actually in the house last night.
Also, Rye gets a text from Una
Yeah.
saying Lindsay hasn't gotten to her grandma's house. Have you seen her?
And Claudette has the black stuff, the black goop.
So the cat has been gooed.
And some of their stuff is missing. So as Bry said, they believe that the frat was present.
Correct. And I think they leave Nate to make a Christmas tree or put one up.
Yeah. So I have a question, or not even a question. This is kind of like my observation. Is Nate the house mother kind of this movie?
That's
because I think they even make a reference to him being like a watcher or something like that of the house, because he always like helps out. It's kind of like
I had him labeled as a male slave.
that's no.
He's just the one girl's boyfriend, isn't he?
Smoosh, right?
Smoosh Parker. Yeah, he takes their photos, he does their laundry, he gets their Christmas trees, he puts them up by himself.
Yeah, he does a lot of stuff. That's why I
sure.
took him as kind of like this movie's house mother of like the Black Christmas, because every Black Christmas has a house mother.
I think he's just trying to score points with
What's her face? Yeah.
his girl.
He's actually probably the most important character in the movie, though, only because of the way he changes throughout the movie.
So this is the thing. Nate is actually a very good guy in this movie until the plot happens, which makes him into the way he is, which we'll talk about, because I think it's very interesting.
He still
the
isn't
route they take.
He isn't made into a bad guy, though. He actually springs into action.
But that's the thing. He's turned into a bad guy, but the movie is so bad, they completely ruin what they could have did with this character.
So they really only change minor things about him. Like girlfriend will be like, "Oh, you've never drank beer before," and he was like, "I like beer." And he starts getting like, I think that's why they overtly showed how nice he was, because they started to show a little nastier side of his, so that they were kind of trying to contrast that. But I mean, I didn't really notice it.
I disagree. I don't really think he was nasty.
Not nasty.
Argumentative.
It's not nasty. It's the way he starts to, like you said, argue, or just the way he acts. Like in the earlier parts of the movie, he helps them. He's on their side. He does the filming. But then like he starts to get this, like, I'm going to use the word machismo. And
it's machismo, I think.
I'm calling it machismo. And he gets all like,
Cran?
Yeah.
What?
Cran.
I'll walk off. I'll walk off right now.
Keep going, Shay.
He gets, we'll continue later. I get embarrassed now. I can't talk.
Aww.
Okay, but I think at this point of the movie, Nate is driving them to get a Christmas tree.
Yes.
The scene is in a cut to Fran as she hears Claudette meow. As we've known, when the cat meows, someone's going to die, if you've seen the previous Black Christmas movie. She looks in a few rooms, eventually finds Claudette, and as soon as she finds her, a robed man pops out of a room and strangles her and cracks her neck with Christmas lights.
Does that happen? It kind of cuts and you don't see anything.
You see the Christmas lights.
Yeah.
That's it.
You see him pulling back, and then like that's it. Yeah. The deaths are bad. I mean, we said it.
They're very bad, and they're almost all off screen. After that,
I hate Chris. I'm going to say it again, because this bitch picks the most expensive Christmas tree there. And she's like, oh, daddy will pay for it.
Well, she has his card. Might as well use it.
Who does that? What a spoiled...
actually, I would say a lot of people who have money do that.
Yeah, I mean, they're in sororities. They can clearly pay for it. But like, she also, like, for whatever reason, can't go home. So her dad was just like, here, have fun on Christmas.
I don't think he actually says that.
That's what Jen is alluding to. He probably said.
It's what she's implying.
I understood it as she's just literally raping her father of all his money.
Yep.
Okay. So I think it's Riley now gets a call from a no ID number.
Well, she gets also more DMs from.
She does. That's right.
The boy Calvin.
Where do they say?
That Ryan and her friends are gonna have fun tonight.
Sure they will. Then she gets the call. So this was also kind of like a throwback to the original Black Christmases because it's like kind of like jumbled like words. You can't really make out what's being said, but then it's actually Helena's mom with bad connection.
Yep.
It's not like Black Christmas, but it is. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, they were trying to go for the fucking
the killer voice, but it was
voice,
just
yeah.
like bad connection. So you find out Helena's mom is searching for Helena because she hasn't made it home. So she's very worried about where she is. So then we go back to the sorority house where Riley goes into Helena's room and she's just not there. Nowhere to be found.
MIA.
Nate is also putting up the tree. Now that they have this tree.
In all fairness, this is where he starts showing a little temperament because we mentioned he's been getting these migraines and these headaches. I don't know if we said it, but he's been getting headaches here and there. They lightly touch on that. And now he's getting pissed because he's actually the only one working on the tree. And I actually think this is fair because I hate doing things by myself and like everybody's around talking and no one's helping me.
They make it so subtle though. Like I actually didn't catch when he said he originally had a headache when they were putting up the tree. I didn't catch that whatsoever now that you said it. Because that like alludes to like later what's going on. But
exactly.
They don't do a good job of contrasting his character because it just kind of looks like he gets more annoyed. Like if they didn't make it clear he didn't drink beer to begin with, I thought that was just like they were all drinking wine. I thought that was kind of just a college student thing. But then they bring up that that's weird for him, which they do it through his girlfriend, which I guess is fine. But they don't really do a good job of contrasting that.
The headache thing was first referenced in the scene where they're getting into their outfits. They literally there's a maybe half a second shot of him going, "Oh, I have a headache." Literally.
Yeah, that's it.
That was the reference for that.
Which is why you don't even notice it.
This development is ass.
Now Riley wants to go to campus security, as she's telling Chris and the girls. And they kind of just shoot her down, right?
Yeah, they're all very against going to campus security. They say it's pointless, that, there's no reason to do this.
That they worship pagan gods.
I don't think they say that. Then Jess comes running in, says my favorite line in the movie. Do I just turn on the oven and stick the ham in? That seems too easy. And that's probably the best bit of dialogue in the movie because it's relatable.
Yeah, I don't know anything about cooking ham.
That's what I'm saying. Relatable. Then Riley leaves the sorority, and that's when you see the dead girl.
Fran?
Yes.
Franny?
You see her body out on the balcony with the snow cover.
They were trying to go for the whole panning up to
Claire
to the attic, but it was towards the top balcony.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As Riley's leaving, that's when she gets another weird text.
From your boy, Calvin Coolidge.
Yep.
Hawthorne?
Yep. Calvin Hawthorne.
Yeah.
She walks into Landon and she asks Landon if he's been sending her weird DMs. And this is when Landon's like, I don't do social media because of privacy issues.
I hate this fucking guy so much.
It's valid. Did you ever hear that TikTok thing? They're invading privacy.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's also a great app. And you can just really do so. If you're 16 and 17, you do TikTok and get out to LA, you're making bank.
Yeah, but you doesn't your phone just take all your information in general? You can talk about we can say the word microwave 50 million times, and next time you go on social media, you're gonna ad for a microwave.
100%.
100%.
And that's actually every social media. You don't understand the amount of ads I get on Instagram. I don't see pictures anymore. I see ads.
I went to look at Displates once because you mentioned it, and I have not gotten Displate ads on my Instagram or YouTube. It's really annoying.
I love social media, but the amount of ads that you get now, honestly, really it is annoying. I'll give you
How
that.
many ads are you getting for podcast equipment now, Brian?
That's good. Yeah, a lot.
So now Riley goes to campus security, and this guy's useless.
Yeah.
Wait, he's trying to get to the bottom of the situation, and he actually, to defend, well, he's not a police officer, he's a security officer, right?
Yes.
He's trying to view this as in the way of being the typical cop in a movie.
Exactly.
No, but this guy goes against everything a cop should be because he says he needs concrete evidence to look into these things. But we've already established on this podcast, all you need is a good hunch.
And I would agree with you because this is another take back to the first Black Christmas and John Saxon's character. I forgot the lieutenant's name. He goes on a great hunch. And I agree with you. Should bring some points to the table. And he doesn't go off the hunch.
No. I also love how they leave, knock on the door once, and he's like, whoa, no one's home. I guess my job is done.
Yeah, he really did
Yeah.
not do a good job of looking into that issue.
And like, you don't need hardcore evidence for a missing person. All you need is their family and everyone around them to say this person's not here. That is concrete evidence that person is no longer there. I feel like that's enough. Her family also hasn't, to our knowledge, called the police, or maybe they have. We don't know.
every person in this, even the girls, including that security officer, they all are like, oh, they probably just got delayed. Like they make all these excuses for it. If the person's
Yeah.
missing for a long time, the family's calling in that they're missing. There's a serious concern there.
Especially because this is the 20th century and we all have cell phones.
It's like there's never been a better time to get into contact with somebody, for sure. Like everyone's almost connected at the hip.
When he's leaving, he says, if she's still missing by tomorrow, come find me or something.
Yeah.
Just super dismissive. You know?
No, and we've talked about this on the podcast. Jed has brought it up. The first 24 or 48 hours are the most important time to find a missing person. So he's like, let's waste 24 of those.
Well, Shane, 9 out of 10
Waste
times,
half of that.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times it's the boyfriend. I'm gonna go get a hoagie.
Well, he
You'd
was
be a
eating.
hell of a security
He
guard.
was eating I think something bologna and like mayo when we first see him. Super gross.
I'm going to say he's a psychopath for eating bologna and mayo.
Yeah,
That
man.
was a lot of
Like,
mayonnaise.
Eat something better. You know?
What I
Just
would say is
missing mustard.
the scariest thing
Mm.
in this movie is probably mayonnaise. Have you ever looked into mayonnaise? It is
Ew.
I mean, I think the scariest part is eating bologna. If you're going to eat a meat, don't eat bologna.
Is it because it's so round?
It's so fake.
It kind of looks like a whoopee cushion, right?
It's
Dude,
accurate.
it does.
Bologna just reminds me of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, I like that. So now Riley is looking through the frat window. Professor Gelson sneaks up behind her. He drops some papers. And the interesting thing about these papers is it has all the girls in the sorority written on the paper. My question is, because I don't remember, because I didn't pay that much attention to this movie,
My God.
did Imogen Poots notice that their names were all written on these
She
papers?
Definitely did.
They
Okay.
Yes.
do a close up, and that's supposed to be her like POV, I guess.
Her defense is like she's looking for the hairpiece that she left.
Yes. And this is when Professor Gelson tells her she's got to remove the video that was put up because it went too far and that they could press legal like charges against her. She can be sued for defamation.
Correct.
And it's strictly because of the line you mentioned, the very last thing she says that
No.
she didn't even know was recorded on this.
Again, like this is her just talking and it was recorded.
Exactly.
Basically, like saying in such a cheerful way, he's threatening her.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
It's a straight threat. he
Yeah.
makes to her.
But like Jen said, he has this like huge fucking shitting grin on his
Yep.
face as he's
Yeah.
saying it. Oh man.
She's never seen the video, actually. Like, we learned that, like, her and her sisters didn't watch this video. He's like, oh, here, you want to come inside? And she's like, wow, you just gave me, like, 3 different threats. No, I don't want to fucking come inside with you. Like, what the
Yeah, that's my biggest thing. Who puts a video on the internet without watching it full way through first to make sure nothing questionable is put on there? You just don't do that in general. You definitely don't do that in 2019, 2020.
Yeah, Riley did nothing wrong. So, like, she could say whatever the fuck she
Exactly.
wants.
She's allowed to say that. It's the person who posted
Yeah.
it. This is what we're saying again with Chris. She's just good intentions, but written to be the worst.
Yeah.
Like,
It's so foolish.
And this is like, we're going to get to this scene, but I might as well just talk about it now because we're going to talk about the characters in a hot second. But they start an argument in like a few minutes about this video and about like Riley saying, did you watch till the end? And Chris is like, yes, this is what we need to be promoting, like empowerment. We can't let them get away with this stuff, which is like the message you want. You don't want to be able to get away with shit like that. But at the same time, she's doing it at the expense of someone who has trauma from this situation. She's not doing it at the expense of herself. If it was her experience and she wanted to put it out there, that's perfectly fine. But when you're doing something that's quote unquote good and empowering at the expense of someone else who is reliving their trauma, it is not good in any way, shape, or form. And that's how we kind of realize they say that she cares about her, but Chris really doesn't. If she cared, she would have asked Riley if she could have kept that part in or would have just cut it out, which makes her a bad friend.
I completely agree because it's almost like Chris is just using Riley to push her own agenda without
Yes.
thinking about Riley's feelings at all about the situation.
Yeah.
They
Can't see
also,
that she's in a total breakdown.
They also say the video has like 50K views now. And I'm like, how?
Where did you
Nobody
post
would-
this?
Nobody would find that
Well,
video.
that's the thing. Unless like Chris is already an established like YouTuber,
Right.
she ain't getting 50K views in one
Well,
day.
we talked about this at the end of Truth or Dare.
Yeah.
Which is Lucy
Friends
Hale.
with Lucy
She was
Hale.
there. She wasn't getting that many videos.
Yeah.
That movie's a 9.
Obviously
That
now
maybe
Riley.
did too.
Obviously now Riley leaves the frat house because Professor Gelson is super weird. And we're back at the sorority house where the three girls, I believe it's Chris, Riley, and Jess, are there with Nate. And we have the conversation that you just talked about posting the video and how Riley is very unhappy about it. But Riley also in this moment mentions the weird DMs she's been getting. And then I believe it's Marty chimes in that she has also been getting these weird DMs.
Chris has it as well.
Okay, so they all are getting these weird DMs. Jess is going into the attic
to find Christmas lights.
Yes. Now, this is where Riley tells Chris she didn't want to do any of the things that happened, basically, that she was forced, like you said. And now the boyfriend, Nate, this is what did you expect to happen? And this is where the dialogue turns into Twitter. It's not a script. It's reading Twitter comments. Then literally the next 10 minutes of this movie.
He's like, what did you expect to happen? And they were like, what are you talking about? And you're like, you did that dance and that song and pissed off an entire fraternity.
And he's like, what did you expect? Them to just sit back and lie down? They're going to retaliate. He's like, what if they went out there and said all women are whores or something like that? Or all women are sluts? You would be pissed off too. And then Chris comes in with, yeah, but men have all the power. Then Nate's like, not all men have power. And then Chris drops my favorite line of the movie when she's just like, did you just not all men me?
Which doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not even sure what they're trying to reference, all lives or some shit or that kind of bullshit. But that line didn't make sense to me because he doesn't view himself like that. I don't know. It was just really dumb.
But that's the thing. He's trying to say, it's his point is not all men are rapists, which is a fact. And he's trying to say, I'm not like that. So you can't lump everyone into this group. And that's when they're going back and forth. And it's like I said, it's not so much a script as just people shouting at each other on Twitter.
I think the real point is this is the transformation of this character. I don't think what he's doing is necessarily viewed as a bad thing. I think it's more viewed as his character is changing. He's pushing back.
This is another part I want to mention with his migraines and him slowly being affected by the black goo, because it's kind of making everyone. So essentially this black goo is supposed to represent toxic masculinity as an actual physical entity. So the black goo is essentially making all men ooze their toxic masculinity out.
Yeah, it's sending brain waves.
Yeah, exactly. So now he's supposed to be getting more annoying and loud and argumentative. I don't know. It's just the way they do it is such bullshit. It's if you want to get your message across, this is not the way to do it.
It doesn't really do it justice.
Exactly.
Whatsoever. It's very throwing it in your face for the sake of the script, but not following through.
There's a piece of dialogue here that sounds weird because he's kind of yelling at them. He's kind of I guess in this sense, trying to say you guys are just man hating at this point. And then he kind of changes. He's like, hun, calm down. You're being kind of a bitch. And she's like, get out of the fucking house.
Yep, kicks him right out.
Right out. Gone.
And then he does drop a pretty funny line where under his breath, he's like, I should have broke up with you last semester.
I caught that the second time I watched the movie, not the first time. No.
It's low-key pretty funny.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, Chris gets a text, right?
We get more messages.
Yep.
I will bring you to your knees. I think my boy Calvin Coolidge said this.
Calvin Hawthorne.
Guess what? Both dead.
Accurate?
Yeah. I mean, is Calvin Hawthorne a real person?
No, I don't think so. I actually typed it into Google and this movie came up first.
And that's
if
it?
This movie came up first, I'm almost positive it's not a real person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Total fiction. We get a clap back from Chris on the DMs.
Yeah, because Chris ain't having it anymore.
She's fed up.
All these men have the power and we need to fight back.
Does anybody write down the line she texts Hawthorne back? Something about paninis?
I normally do, but I actually don't have it.
She says something about come here and make me a panini on my mom's press or some shit.
Oh my God.
Super cringe though.
Yeah.
What
I
kind
love
of
paninis though.
I didn't catch this whatsoever. Where did they throw this shit?
I don't blame you at all, Jen. I didn't catch it either. I do have to mention though, because we did actually skip it. While all this is going on, Jess has been killed in the attic. That does happen. Before all of this. But it's another one of those things. While she's in the attic, the black cloak is behind her and it cuts away and she dies off screen.
It's a jump scare.
Yeah, that's all it is.
That's the PG-13 element. They're killed off screen. If it was rated R, obviously there'd be much brutal deaths. And the first two movies there were. And the first one especially because it's the point of view of the killer and he's just strangling people with bags and pulleys and hooks.
And the second one is literally a gore fest with eyeballs everywhere.
Just ripping out eyeballs and jaundice. This movie would have been better if every character got jaundice and died.
You're not wrong. This argument happens. Nate is gone. Jesse is dead. The texts are just flying in from Calvin Hawthorne.
Cool.
This is when Marty gets shot in the leg with a bow.
Yeah, the arrows just start flying in.
Yeah. So now they are under attack, and
I have a
Marty
question.
has been hit.
Brian, go.
I just want to say, whoever these robed guys are, and I think at this point we basically have told you, they are basically Robin Hood multiplied because they're marksmen, all of them.
I mean, Robin Hood was like for the people, so I wouldn't really compare them to him.
In terms of, well, actually, Robin Hood was a thief, wasn't he?
Yeah, but
he was a
he
thief
gave
that
to the poor.
Stole from the rich and give to the needy.
It's still a crime, but in any case,
It's okay.
it's for a virtuous cause, right?
Yes.
Yes.
They should not be as accurate with the bows, I'm saying, as like a Robin Hood. And they're pretty accurate.
What I take it is this black goo is kind of, since it's dark arts, I guess we could just say it's giving them these powers.
Yeah, like this dark arts Coolidge.
Well, that's the problem. Like Jen said very early on, Jen is just nailing this review.
Thank you. I'm not enjoying it.
They just say dark arts, but give you no backstory to the dark arts.
And you know, it's funny because it sounds ridiculous, but it actually is true. I found it funny.
So they essentially just say that
Which one? Calvin Hawthorne?
Calvin Hawthorne. See, I don't care that much. So they essentially say that Calvin Hawthorne is like invading their psyche in a way and creating an army. So I guess we can just think that they're all being invaded by Calvin in their brains, and then whatever he was good at, they inherited, which apparently is archery because he's an old ass and that's all he's got. He didn't know guns existed or knives. He preferred archer.
It was early 1800s, right? Or the mid 1800s.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Coolidge, or I'm sorry, Coolidge. Yeah, Coolidge.
Means that bust is that man lived to be really old if he could put himself in the bust that is still there. Like, he lived for a long time.
Great bust. It
is a great bust. That's the one thing. The bust is awesome.
Yeah, the bust is great.
After the attack, the girls run, hide in a closet.
Marty is hit, though.
Yeah, which is the smartest thing to do. Always hide in a closet because there's always a way out. Just kidding. They then decide they have to fight back, obviously, because literally what else are you going to do if you don't just leave? You can't just sit in the closet.
They also drop their phones as they're running away.
Yeah, so they can't call anyone. They all have dropped their phones. I think it's Riley snaps like a broom in half, so she has sharp stick. So now she has her fighting stick. She's ready to go downstairs and fight. But Chris goes into the attic. And that's when Chris sees Jesse sitting. And this is another reason why the PG-13 movie sucks. She spins her around and it looks like there's going to be a shard of glass in her face, but they cut away. So you can't really tell for sure if that's what that was.
Yeah.
No, isn't she covered with Christmas lights?
Yeah, that's all you can tell. As Riley gets downstairs, the boyfriend shows back up and he's like, "Oh man, I'm really sorry. I've been having these migraines. They've really been messing with me."
This poor guy.
Yeah, this is the thing. So this whole scene is why I hate this fucking movie even more. So he's sympathetic and how he is. So it's showing that he generally is a good guy. So then he's trying to help them, and Riley's like, "I just want the keys so we could get out of here." And then he starts to get his migraine because he puts his head down and holds it. And then he's like, "No, we have to do this. I'm a man. I fight." Then he takes an arrow to the face and dies.
That's true. He also does mention, though, he's doing it for his girl.
Yes, but my whole point is this. If he's supposed to be a good guy and a guy that isn't supposed to be like the frat boys, why do they still then turn him into this monster and instantly kill him? There's no redeeming quality for him. It's not like he can come back from it. It's so stupid, though. If your point is that, it's almost showing that despite him being good on the outside, that inside toxic masculinity will always overpower him, so he should be killed. It's it's defeating its purpose. It's no matter how good you are, you still die in the end as a bad person.
This scene confused me.
And that's my problem with it.
This scene confused me. I thought, this guy was, they were eventually going to induct him into the cult. That's what I was thinking. I feel like that was the approach that they were going with.
But that's the thing. Even if the bad people are trying to induct him into the cult, wouldn't it serve your message better if he's able to fight against that and actually help the girls?
I mean, you're definitely right. That's definitely a good rewrite, but I think the whole point of his character was literally to just show Hawthorne's dark magic can essentially invade any guy.
Even someone who is good.
Yeah,
him.
I think that was the whole point. There was no other point to his character other than showing the small symptoms, which were just so behind the scenes that we really didn't even notice them until someone pointed them out.
Isn't the point it makes them the man they were like
Supposed to be.
supposed to be. Like it makes them
Yeah.
like the LeBron James of archery. Bri has LeBron James of cock.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh, baby. Now Riley is in full fight mode. This masked guy is the one she actually stabs with the keys, which is what we talked about at the beginning, with the keys being like that defense mechanism for women to hold, even though I also do that. You
That's
never
okay.
know. Another one shows up. He grabs her, he pins her against the wall, and he gives her a mistletoe kiss.
Yeah, let's talk about this kiss.
That's Riley.
Yes, that is
Let-
Riley.
Let's talk about the mistletoe kiss. Okay, so we do not passion bump rape scenes on the podcast.
We do not.
Never, ever would do that.
Please no.
But what I would like to say here is there is a loophole that I would like to explore deeper, and I want to get your thoughts, everybody, roundtable thoughts.
Only if there's consent.
There is a rule in life. If you're under a mistletoe, you have to kiss.
I've rejected mistletoe kisses.
You're actually going against the law of Christmas.
It's okay. I'm fine with it.
Rebel.
They were creeps.
So I would say this, it's not really a passionate scene because she's not into it.
It absolutely is
It's not really a rape scene because it's like a little kiss, but I guess it's not consensual. So it's like that gray area. But
She's
it's
like
not.
she's like nearly crying, and he's like, and he's holding like the arrow up against her stomach, basically like, you better fucking do it.
But it's not like a deep kiss. It's like a peck, and he's wearing a mask. And interesting thing about this mask
Yes.
is this is called a skull's bridle that they used, I think, back in the, I want to say 1600s on women who were talkative
Yes.
and would say things inappropriately in an era, I guess, where you could say like women were not favored certain rights.
Yeah.
But this was like not an American thing. I think this was like more of like a Scottish thing, or
Yeah.
like somewhere in Europe, where they would put these masks on women's faces. And that's the idea that the director, they wanted to use what these masks look like, put it on the face of the robed guys.
Yes.
Oh, can we point out he like slashes her cheeks,
Yes.
Mhm.
like Dexter style? You guys see that?
He does
Yeah.
do that.
And if you notice, they were very light. They were so light on the blood.
Yeah,
They were so
she
light
doesn't.
everywhere.
She just, you don't even see blood trickle down. It's just like it's an instant scar. So now this is the guy she does kill with the keys. He's dead. This is when Chris comes and tells Riley, right, that Jess is dead.
First of all, how does she get the upper hand on the? It's the Christmas decoration goes off.
That's right. That comes back into play.
Boom.
He has the upper hand. Santa starts ringing that bell,
Yeah.
and then he gets distracted. She gets the upper hand, and she can fend him off with the keys.
There we go.
That's when Marty, Chris show up. They mention Jesse's dead, and then Marty realizes Nate is also dead.
Mm-hmm.
And she's broken up for 3 seconds. And then we move on because another cloaked man shows up. And now this is cloaked man number 72.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, how many members of the robed crew are there? How many skull bridal masks did they make in this movie?
I
Like,
mean, how many pledges did they have this year?
yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Quite a lot, apparently. It seems like it's a popular fraternity.
Fraternitas Fratrum.
What
That's what they say. They call it. That's what they say.
It's their chant.
That's their
Oh,
ritual
that is
thing.
what they chant.
is it? I didn't pay attention.
That's okay. Because now Marty's going to do something I just hate in movies in general. Has nothing to do with Black Christmas. She's like, I got this. You guys go. So she's going to be the sacrifice. And sacrifices are cool in a movie when the characters that are supposed to be escaping escape. Instead, they actually just stand there and watch as Marty
Right?
gets stabbed with the axe and never move. So technically, all three of them should have just left.
Like very stupid.
Okay, well, I like to watch. And a lot of people like to watch, but I like to watch Shane.
Oh,
Okay.
Can we talk about it?
So
No.
when Shane
Yes.
is getting
No, we
hot
can't.
and heavy,
He is so into when me and Bri watch it, and me and Bri are just like, dude, chill out.
None of this is true. This is why I don't let you guys speak. There's nothing but lies being thrown out about me. I don't.
Oh, come on. Your daughter would not appreciate you saying that.
Here we go. Here
It's-
we go. The daughter always comes up that I don't actually have.
you have a daughter.
Yeah, she produces Sauce McGavin's YouTube channel.
Oh my god.
Shout out Sauce,
Saucy.
great guy.
I say, we just had you on in November. Come back.
Come back.
Oh, he'll definitely be back. We got something big planned.
Can't
for him.
wait. I like the movies that he chooses.
Hmm.
They're fun.
Are we done with this movie yet?
Oh, it's getting.
We're
getting there.
we're so close.
Okay.
We don't have too much left.
No, we don't. Now the girls finally decide to run away now that their friend is dead. They hide in the kitchen, and in my head, I'm like, so there is only one door There's no windows to jump out of or like open and escape from. We just have to keep hiding in places.
Well, you know the Moo house.
Yeah, no windows.
They call it that because of the one door.
Yeah. Dying friend like starts to look at her phone, and I'm assuming she's going to call the police. That's what I'm assuming they're trying to lead us to believe. Then back in the kitchen, Chris gets attacked by the cloaked man. Riley stabs him. You know, they just keep fighting. It's just the same thing.
Are you saying copy and paste here?
Yeah, it's just all copy and paste. It's like them running to different rooms and fighting.
Is this the head stab you're talking about?
I think so. This is the head stab.
That was a head stab. No blood, though. No blood.
It's all black goo. They believe black goo now. Then we see the security guard go. This actually made me laugh. So the security guard goes to what you believe is going to be their sorority house.
Yeah.
But he opens up a door to a different sorority
It's a different
house,
one.
and the same shit is happening.
Shyamalan
It's just
twist.
the girls fighting a cloaked man, and then they look like they're winning, but the security guard gets stabbed in the back, and there's another cloaked man. Cloaked man 85.
They spawn like bunnies. You know what I'm saying?
And that's when you learn that this is not just happening there, it is happening all around campus.
Yeah.
That's true. Riley now, isn't she back in their house? She's unmasking one of the roadmen that they killed.
Who is it, Bri?
And it's the Deke pledge she saw
From
earlier. Yeah.
But grabs the keys from his neck so they can get into the car and leave. This next scene can only be summarized as them summarizing the entire movie.
That's exactly true. They summarized the movie on this car ride.
Yeah,
They just put this whole scene in the trailer. That was it.
We're not going to talk about this scene because it's them talking about the movie. All I'll say is they get in the car and Riley's like, this is what's happening. And it is exactly what's happening. Like, she's not wrong about a single thing she says.
How did she guess that? Like that, like
Beats
so
me.
quick to just be like black magic.
Yeah.
Right?
Black magic, black blood, Hawthorne bust, tight chicks, hot dudes, Black Christmas 2019.
Shane, boner check?
No, this movie has killed my boner for years.
Okay.
I think Brian, we need to do a boner check because
Right.
he thinks these guys are real hot.
Because when we were talking, I was texting like, these guys are so hot
I
dudes.
fucking love hot guys.
Like hot dudes. Like, sure, are they jerks? 100%. Are they the scum of the earth? 100%. But something about that gum chewing. I mean, this guy's evil for sure. I mean, we see the way he looks. The guy's a creep, but
With
Brian
that
is
fucking
begging-
jawline pops when he's chewing gum. Looks good.
Brian is begging Brian to spit the gum into his mouth.
Oh my God.
Just like, that is so weird. That's a freak thing for me because I'm a germ freak. Like someone spitting into my mouth. I mean, unless I'm watching, me and Micah G are like watching Shane getting it on and Shane squirting in my mouth.
Yeah.
I am not enjoying it.
Can I get a boner? I got one now.
You got a boner?
Rock hard.
Okay, great.
Okay, cool. We got
Just
one.
at the thought of Shane.
Fuck. I guess we'll call this a cool thing. Riley actually in this scene calls out Chris to be a fighter now. I'm trying to stay on topic of this fucking movie just to get through it at this point. So yeah,
We're nearly at the end. Can we just skip? No, I'm kidding.
So Riley's like, Chris, you got to be a fighter. You know, be a bad bitch like you were meant to be.
And I'll be honest with you, the girls in this movie, a lot of bad bitches in here, man. A lot of bad bitches.
Yeah.
Bad Biden bitches, right?
Yeah. So Riley
Bad
gets out of the
bitches in a
car.
bad movie.
Riley gets her fighting shovel. Riley's walking down the street with her fighting shovel
It's a-
as Landon's
it's
walking with
Pink shovel.
Yeah.
Point that out.
Yeah, it's pink. Well, who gives a shit? Landon is now walking down the street with roses. Of course, they happen to walk right into each other.
Please explain to me. He's the only person on the street. Just walks right down the
Wait,
street.
he had roses?
He had something in his
No.
hand. I thought it was flowers. I don't know,
Was it
man.
flowers?
I don't think it was.
What else was it then?
Was it his book that he rented from the library of bad jokes? Because who the fuck
Or maybe
does
he
that
was.
for anything?
I thought he was bringing food because they told him it was like a potluck.
The orphan dinner. Yeah, he might have been bringing
Maybe it
something
was
for the orphan
food.
dinner.
So he has that. He asked her, are you okay, considering she's bleeding and has a pink shovel? He says he can help her, whatever she needs. Then we cut back to Chris. She picks up a bunch of the other sorority sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone have anything to add to that?
No.
I mean, they're just like, this is happening everywhere. Like, you can assume it's like a bunch of girls that just met up from different houses. And they're like, we got to go to the police. And that's when, like, Chris in her brain is like, fuck, Riley was right. And then she sees a guy in a black cloak behind them. And she basically puts the car in reverse and is like, I'm going to run this motherfucker over. And now we can go back to the house.
Now Landon goes into the frat house because I think the plan is supposed to be Landon is supposed to go into the house and cause a distraction so Riley can get into the bust room and destroy the bust.
Mm.
So he goes in and he's like, yo, you frat boys destroyed my mixer. I ain't happy.
And I could actually agree. This is probably the only justifiable thing this guy's done in the movie because that's expensive equipment and I'd be pissed too.
So Riley breaks into the room with the bust, and that's when Riley hears Helena making noise from a different room. So Riley goes and she finds out it was all a ruse. Helena has been working with the frat boys the entire time.
Well, no, she tries to help her escape, and that's when a boy comes up and then basically like knocks her out.
Yeah, but Helena does like show that she's working with them. Like she says something, or just the way she acts, right? That she was working with the frat boys at that point.
Well,
When Raya wakes from being knocked out.
That's when it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can only tell like because as soon as the guy comes up behind Riley, Helena's face like drops all the fear and gets like a smirk on it.
Exactly.
Yes. I have a question.
Okay.
Did anyone else think Helena was looking a little yellow in this scene?
The jaundice
It could be the lighting, but I feel like they were paying homage to Billy from the 06, making Helena look a little yellow in the face.
Yep.
Probably
Or
was
is that just
bad
me?
makeup.
No, you can't give this movie that kind of credit.
Okay.
Just bad makeup. They didn't do that on purpose.
Yeah, I'm probably just losing my mind at this point.
Did we mention Landon, who's getting succumbed to the
Yeah.
large group of
Oh no, you can mention this now.
of Deke thugs here?
Yeah.
They're coming out. They're coming after Landon, and then Landon says something that made me want to shotgun alcohol through my ass so hard that I would explode.
I got a headache.
He goes,
I have a headache.
no. He does get the headaches, but he says, I want you to suck a fart because you just got zated.
That is bad. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That just sounded like fraternity or Greek life lingo that I didn't get.
I mean, who says suck a fart though?
I'm using that from now on.
Okay, that's fair.
I liked it.
Now Riley wakes up to like all this like chanting, and you see now that Landon has been fratted up. Like that's the word we're going to use now. He's been fratted up because he's in the cloak. He's got the goo.
It's a pledge.
Yeah. And now plot twist. No one saw this coming.
Nobody.
Gelson
Professor
is
Gelson.
the leader of the bad people.
Oh my god.
My mind was blown.
Talker.
I know.
Oh my God. Whatever will we do?
Now he gives this fucking speech, and the only thing I wrote down from the speech is he says, "We're not insane. We are simply men."
I have the whole thing. It's the whole movie. This is the reason why the quote was even in the beginning. It's the whole story is here. He goes, well, now the pledge is a true man. The rest of the frat, they're banging their paddles a single time. There's a lot of paddle banging. Those are paddles, right? Can we confirm that?
Yeah.
What's the deal with the paddles in the frats? I never got that. Except Benanti has a paddle.
It's a hazing thing, where you spank your fraternity brothers.
I thought you used that to row. Okay, the guys that created Facebook, they would row a lot because
I just assume you beat
I
people.
thought it was something you gave to like your little or something after they were already in.
Maybe.
After you've beaten their
freaking
ass
know.
with it.
I have no idea.
As long as they're getting their ass beat. He's like, the boys discovered magic inside the bust.
We're just looking for redeeming qualities at this
Calvin
point.
Coolidge, or Hawthorne, foresaw the threat posed by women before his death. He took precautions just in case they strayed too far out of line. He was a master of the dark arts. I can't even say this. And left instructions on how to create an army of young men to take their power back. So these pledges that they're inducting, they're forming an army. Yeah. And then when Riley's like, oh my God, you guys are actually insane. He's like, we're not insane. We're just tired of being falsely accused.
I mean, what we're learning here is Calvin Hawthorne is an independent man who don't need no woman.
You don't need no woman. They're marginalized, belittled, spectators of their own lives. And Riley remembers someone giving the pledge. Remember from the beginning, she remembers like the pledges giving the spells, providing the black stuff on their forehead. Was that Gelson doing that, by the way? Or is that somebody else?
I assume it was Gelson.
Yeah, I thought so too. I just wanted to point that out. And upon graduation, their army will march into boardrooms, courtrooms, and Congress. So they're actually trying to infiltrate the world.
They're just trying to make men dominant.
They're trying to form a mass of black goo.
Illuminati? Is that what they do, right? Or
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I guess it's like that.
I feel like this movie would have almost done better during Cult Month.
It is a cult movie.
Actually, yeah. You're absolutely right.
it's a great point.
It's not a Christmas movie, and it's not a Black Christmas movie.
No, that is not.
But yeah, to continue the history that he goes into this whole speech, the boys, they read the incantation inside the bus. They filled the pledges with the spirit of Hawthorne. They gave them supernatural strength, drive. Whoever women stepped out of line, the pledges, they took care of them. Obedient women like Helena were spared.
They had to collect items from them first. They couldn't just kill them. Anyone who they specifically wanted to target, you needed an item of theirs.
Yes, which is why you see that Helena has been grabbing these items. That's why Riley's hair comb, the girl with the glasses, Diva cup,
That would be Fran.
her Diva cup. You see, like, Helena's necklace is also up there. You see that.
It stings that Riley physically gave her Little the hairpiece.
Yes.
They didn't even steal it. She gave it to her.
Which is, actually a decent touch. Did I compliment this movie?
I think so. Proud of you.
Because that is betrayal. That is betrayal. I wouldn't say it's a top 10 anime betrayal, like when you betrayed Sauce, but it's a betrayal.
No, Riley even literally calls Helena a traitor.
You're just searching for redeeming qualities.
No, I'm really not. Trust me, I don't want to compliment this movie, but that's one thing that it wasn't done poorly.
Okay, so Brian comes in now, right?
Yep.
Mr. Sinister, Mr. Gumshoe. This guy is giving you the best Colin Farrell gumshoe you've ever seen. You ever see Pete Carroll? You ever see his gumshoe? You're seeing it now in Brian.
Yeah. Well, all I wrote about the scene is Brian comes up, says some bullshit, and says the king is arriving.
Yeah.
That's all that needs to be said.
But he's also the mighty king.
Yeah, well, he says he's the king, but then the actual this is a question to Mike and Jen, because me and Brian already talked about this. When the main cloaked man walks in, is that supposed to actually be Calvin Hawthorne reborn?
I thought it was Phil, because Helena calls him babe.
Can I be truthfully honest with you? I really don't know. I don't know who it is, because they mentioned like the spirit of Calvin is going into all of them.
That's why I wasn't sure if this entity actually collapses when something happens in a few seconds. So that's why I felt like it was Hawthorne himself, because it was tied to this.
Well, he
bus.
snaps Helena's neck pretty easily.
That's why I think it's actually the spirit of Calvin
Yeah.
Hawthorne reborn. Because
That's
yes, as Mike said,
That's when she realizes her necklace is even on there. She's like, who put that there?
because like Riley will not submit. So to like put forth a message, the cloaked figure literally just snaps Helena's neck and like without trying.
Yep.
So Helen is dead. They now need Riley to submit, but before she can submit, the cloaked man takes an arrow to the knee. And by knee, I mean his back. I just wanted to make a Skyrim reference. And this is when all hell breaks loose and the film becomes almost impossible to keep up with what's happening.
You're talking about the girls busting in?
The hair comb.
She gets up. It's like a slow motion run to the bust.
Well, no, it's to the tray with all the items on it, because she does slash him with the actual hair comb.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah.
So that happens, and that's when the figure actually grabs her, right? And that's when the arrow comes through.
Yes.
What is the line? I forgot what they say now, the girls. They're like,
You
messed with the wrong sisters.
Yeah.
You've messed with the wrong sisters.
Get it? Because they're in a sister sorority.
Yes.
And, you know, they referenced this whole thing earlier on where it's like, they're like ants. Kill one ant. You mess with one ant, you're messed with the whole
they
army
played
of
the
ants.
game.
Three animals.
Three animals.
And Marty was playing the game. I think she said
Yeah.
like an owl. I forgot what the second one was. And her third answer was the ant.
Shane, what would you say here?
My three favorite animals?
Yeah.
A sloth, a penguin, and maybe the tapir.
What?
Dude, have you ever seen a tapir dick?
No, I like the long snoot.
It is the most marvelous thing in nature.
What's
Look
it up here?
It's this weird like mini hippo. I can't.
Yeah,
even...
it's like this. It has features of a hippo and an anteater because it has this long nose that can like kind of stretch out.
Mhm.
It's super cool looking, and they had them at a park I used to go to. So I always thought it was like a really cool animal.
How do you
Jen.
spell it?
I'm not kidding.
Tapir.
I'm not kidding. Type in tapir dick. This is the definition of a thundercock
Yeah.
because they're so large.
Wait, these were in Ice Age.
They might have been.
Oh, maybe they were.
I think like there was a prehistoric version in Ice Age because I just remember them because they were in the mud. They were the two kids in the mud. They're migrating. They're like, help, help, I'm drowning. And their dad's like, kids, come on, you can play Extinction later.
Well, that makes sense because the tapir is an animal that could stay underwater for about 10 minutes, I believe.
Dude, the tip of its dick looks like a hand. It's marvelous. You have to look at it.
I'm okay.
I'm not kidding. Please look at it.
Why
I'll
do they
dig
have
deep
like
on it later.
strangely fit legs?
I don't know, actually.
They got them.
Like look
shit
at
Smith
this.
calves.
Like I don't know if you can see this. Look at this. It's like that person who like does a lot
Yeah,
of
no,
Zumba
that's-
classes.
That thing looks like it runs.
Holy God.
It looks like it does a lot of Zumba classes and it just poses with its legs like it has like stellar legs. I don't want to see the dick. I don't want to see the dick. Your phone is too bright. I don't want to see the dick.
You're missing out.
So moving on from tapir.
I don't need hand dick in my life.
Now the big fight happens. And in all seriousness, there's too much going on to really say what's going on other than I'll let Brian take over. this next scene as Brian has Riley pinned to the ground.
Yeah, he has her pinned to the ground. Riley spots the bust. She knows she has to break it, but she's going to have to get through Brian to destroy it.
Yep.
So she runs to Brian, but he picks her up and drops her. And at this point, there's a lot of choreography, probably some of the worst we've seen in a long time. Chris is stabbing because she's like a mercenary now. She's stabbing frat boys with her bow. I think a guy's getting tased.
Like I said, there's a lot.
Riley is being held down by Brian, actually holding her wrists to the ground. She is pinned and she really can't move. And at this point, she's like one of those moments where she's like the heroine. She's got to fight for her team. She's watching Chris because Chris is decking guys out in the face. All of a sudden, Riley defies physics, swings up into the air to pin Brian down, slamming his head hard on the ground while she runs for the bust of Calvin motherfucking Coolidge
Hawthorne.
and slams this thing on the ground. But right before, you hear Gelson, he's like, don't slam it. But she fucking slams it.
Can we also make a point?
Somehow has super strength.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Well, the movie, she's like having flashbacks of the rape night.
Yeah, she was having flashbacks.
She uses that to like overcome him, I guess.
Yes, because as she's pinned down with her wrist being held down, that's like the same exact situation that happened where she's remembering herself on the bed with him holding her wrist down.
This is my please explain to me.
Please explain to me
how she can be held in that position and literally flip up around and pin him to the ground. I want her to, of course. I don't know how she can do it because her wrists are pinned down. Unless maybe she would have flipped her legs up to kick him up. I just don't know how she takes her arms and flips.
And that's another thing that I'm saying in the scene. Everything is filmed so poorly, where it's so chaotic. You can't tell how anything is done in this scene. But what you can tell is the bust is actually oozing from the bottom when she lifts it. So this is my question. Please
explain to me
how, if this bust was originally in the school hall before it was brought to the fraternity, how no one noticed it oozing black.
They said they had to perform the ritual to start it.
Okay, so that is what it actually is, because I completely skipped over that part.
Maybe that. Also, to think about it, like the girls are fucking these dudes up. So maybe like the fact that his spirit is getting destroyed and all these guys, it's like fucking angry.
So it's gooing harder?
It's gooing harder. It's clearly black arts. There's like a supernatural element to the bust.
That is not explained whatsoever.
Yeah. Once this bust is destroyed, the cloaked figure instantly drops, which is why I thought it was Calvin Hawthorne reborn, because as soon as the bust breaks, he breaks.
Makes sense.
Coolidge.
Then the girl, Chris, she says, suck my, lights Professor Gelson on fire.
And this is why PG-13 sucks, because Shane, what was she supposed to say?
I believe, and this is what I read, she was supposed to say, suck my clit.
But
it was cut from the movie.
She just says, suck my, and then ignites Professor Gelson.
Which would have actually been fucking badass.
She should have said it would have been so much more badass.
They had to take it out for the PG-13 rating, though.
Yep, which is a real shame. Once everything's on fire, all the girls run out. Landon is back to normal because the bust has been broken. He runs out with them. All the frat boys burn alive.
They trap them, right?
Yeah, they trap them. They put the paddles on the door so the frat boys can't get out. The girls stand out there and watch them all burn. And the moral of the story is, even if you're under the dark arts, you burn alive.
Can anyone explain to
literally.
me Riley's face at the end? How it like smiling almost and then turns to like shock?
We saw an interview with the director, I think.
Yeah.
And the whole idea is, they did this, but they have more of a fight to come with what's going on.
Well, yeah, because they have to explain how they burned all of these men alive.
And why there's so many other dead like men and women at all the other fraternity and sorority houses.
So realistically, you can't explain this in real life because you have no proof that black goo has controlled any of these people. And now it just looks like you burned a frat to the ground with everyone inside, despite how many witnesses you have.
Jen, this is like your add-on to Night of the Demons. Like she leaves and like, how do you fucking explain it?
Yeah, like there's just like a shit ton of dead people everywhere. And it's like, well, guess everyone's going to be a murderer now. There's no other way to say it. Like they also... At one of the houses, one of the security guards are dead. So
Yep.
Yeah.
That too.
the body count in this movie is impeccable.
I think I saw on IMDb 25 people are killed in this movie.
I mean,
A lot of them off screen.
name 25 people, but I feel like there's like a decent amount of other people that they just didn't mention.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like that body count counts everyone, I guess, that was in that fraternity that burned
Yeah.
alive. Yeah.
Are you guys excited for the sequel, Blacker Christmas?
Rewrite? We got a rewrite here?
Yeah, Blacker Christmas. It's being directed by Tyler Perry, and he's starring as every character in the film.
Oh,
I'll watch that.
great idea.
I'm actually glad you mentioned that, though, because there is not going to be a sequel. Box Office Mojo has this as the 28th or 20-somethingth worst box office opening weekend. So this movie premiered in 2,625 theaters, and its opening weekend grossed 1.8 million.
That's poor sales.
That's bad.
It's based off of how much it makes based on how many theaters it opened in, because obviously movies make worse than that, but they're open on a much lower scale. So for something that was in this many theaters, that's atrocious. The movie only grossed 10 mil in total, I believe.
It was also advertised quite heavily because I remember seeing like the commercials for it, when you're watching a YouTube video and like an ad plays. I remember seeing this movie on the ads and I was not interested in watching it whatsoever. I just didn't like this movie. It was just done very poor. There was a lot of different ways they could have just made it a good movie, or at least like a C movie or something. I wouldn't even give this a C, honestly. And also it did so bad. I don't think anyone else gave it a C.
The credits roll. They play the song again from the beginning. And then after the song, Claudette the cat is licking the black goo.
Yeah.
So if there is a Blacker Christmas starring Tyler Perry, Claudette will be the killer.
Well,
That would be such a better movie, A Killer Cat.
I agree.
Who's fed the cat recently? Nobody.
Knowing cats, it's eating the dead bodies because that's what cats do.
We can hope.
The bus would have been in the burning building.
Yeah.
Why would the cat be there?
No,
No,
this is back at the house. It's drinking the black goo that the dead bodies gooed all over.
Oh, from the black. Okay, I
exactly.
was doing from the bus. Sorry.
Okay, so with all that put out there, let's get into our...
Let's wrap a bow on this.
Yeah, let's get into each of our score of this movie. I'll start it off as I always do. This movie sucks. It is a pile of junk. It had a message it wanted to put out there. It's a good message, but it is done in such a bad way with such lame characters. I mean, it's shot poor. The characters suck. The plot doesn't exist. It's a message and not a movie. It's a blog post that's masquerading as a movie. Pile of shit. I'm giving it a 1 out of 10.
Wow.
Oh no.
Oh man.
Let's go to you, Bri.
Yeah. So I don't like movies that are very preachy. I'll just start with that. This obviously is one of those movies.
For sure.
They do not do it in a good way, obviously. But my biggest problem with this movie, more than anything, and I think the preachy part actually does make sense. The reason why it makes sense is because it actually, with the whole woman hating plot of the men at the end, the fact that they're like hyper feminist kind of does make sense. If it was like a no woman hating cult at the end, it would really just not make sense at all. But
yeah, they show the extremes. They attempt to show the extremes from both sides.
Exactly. And I don't like that. But in any case, the whole plot sucks. The kills are horrible. This is not a horror movie, as I was saying. This is a mystery movie, and a bad one because you know who the killers are right from the get-go. It really is no mystery. PG-13 is a horrible idea if they consider this a slasher. Like I said, there's some good elements, hot dudes, tight chicks, which is why I'm giving this movie a 3 out of 10. I'm not being harsh. I actually gave 06 a 3 out of 10, but 06 is probably better.
06 is 1,000 times better than this movie.
It's better. This is not a remake. This is an entirely different film.
Jen, you are up.
All right. I'm kind of with you, Shane. I'm going to go in the middle. I kind of do this a lot. I don't know why, but I kind of go between you guys. I gave it a 2 for a lot of the reasons I said earlier, why I didn't like the film and why I thought the heavy topics didn't clash with it. I didn't give it a 3 because I feel like I did see it advertised as a remake, and Brian's right. This is a completely different movie. So I hate that they did that. Just lazy writing, using a heavy topic for the plot and not following through with it. I'm not into that. I would have just preferred that they made it a little lighter and all the above. Yeah, 2. I don't really have much to say about this film. It was a bad film. I didn't like it.
Yep, that's why mine was short too. Mike, you're up.
So forget Black Christmas. We're going Black Fishmas, right? Now, this movie turns into not a horror, not a mystery at all. It's about sorority girls just trying to make ends meet. by selling fish.
Thought
I
you were
get it.
going the zombie route.
It makes total sense. And it's totally seasonal because Italians have a tradition of the 7 fishes.
I broke Shane.
And you know what? They can sell those 7 fishes.
Yes.
You're only selling 7 fish for the whole year, really?
Well, each of the girls sell them from their families. So their families don't do the 7 fishes. They do nothing because the girls already sold the fish.
All right, I'm gonna be honest, Bri. You were adding way more than Mike ever thought about. He just wanted to throw out girls selling fish for some reason, and I don't know why.
I thought it would be better than, what we got.
Literally,
From the
I could have
movie.
pooped in a cup and it was better than what we got.
Shane, you keep talking like that. I tell you, you're stealing all of my fucking power.
Mike, just give me your goddamn review.
Oh, all right. Yeah. You ever heard of the band Plus 44?
Yes.
Just do a 4 plus 4 because this movie's an 8, right?
Right. Are you actually giving this movie an 8?
No, the movie's a mess. Everything's a mess. Cringy, acting, writing. Yeah, it's more like a 2.
Yeah.
See,
We
short,
are-
sweet, and to the point. There's not much to say
There's
about
nothing
this movie.
to add to this.
Well, I guess it's that time of the night, boys. Were we doing this last time Mike was on?
No, this is Mike's first time.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, this is a new segment we've added where we are now adding a character that either had the best death, attributed the most to the movie, the character we thought was the funniest. There's a whole bunch of different things you can put into this, but we are adding a character from this movie into our Necronomicon, to my dismay. Does anyone have any nominations? I have one in mind.
I want to preface something. I think this is going to be a very contentious talk here. There's gonna be very contentious talking points because from my perspective, I don't think we can confirm a lot of characters died. So I just want to preface with that.
I have mine.
Mine too.
And it's a two for one. The bust of Calvin Hawthorne and the spirit of Calvin Hawthorne. Because the bust is an inanimate object, but when the bust dies, so does the black cloak Calvin Hawthorne. So Calvin Hawthorne is, and the bust as the add-on would be mine.
I am going to second that. I was also going to say the bust of Calvin Hawthorne, but if you want to be more, I guess,
you keep saying Hawthorne.
What's up?
Hawthorne?
You keep saying Hawthorne.
You're actually correct. I cannot say, people can't say things.
Yeah.
I can't say Hawthorne unless I really try, but I'm not going to do that. I do say Hawthorne. I'll admit it. I'm backing down. I would have to be like Hawthorne.
Right.
I'd have to relearn that language, but I'm going to take the bust of Calvin Coolidge only because he is really a living embodiment going into these people. It's his spirit. So if you want to, however you want to splice it up, the bust or Calvin Hawthorne, either way, it's him. And I said it again.
I actually liked Helena for this.
The neck snap.
Yeah, I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
and she also, I feel like she progressed the plot a lot, and I feel like that was, can't really say I thought she would die or not right there. I thought that when all the girls came in, they were going to kill her then because she was still trying to help the guys. But when someone put her necklace on just to set her as an example, she was like, what the hell?
All right, Mike, who do you think?
I'm going to go, how do you say it? Carrie
Ools.
Not his character in the movie, Professor Gelson.
Yeah.
The actual actor. Because he was in Saw 1.
Yeah.
Which is one of the best horror movies ever.
Also in 87, he was in The Princess Bride, one of the most
he really?
renowned comedy movies of all time.
I think he was also the stepdad in Liar Liar.
Yeah, like great storied career. And then he does something like this. Put him in the fucking Necro.
So you're putting his career in the Necronomicon.
His career as a whole is in there. How do you go from Saw 1 to this movie?
It's fair.
That's true, but his career that person didn't die in the movie. So I don't know if we can do that.
No, I like it though. So we're either going to go with Helena or the spirit of Calvin Hawthorne.
You want to do a coin flip again?
I'm game if you are.
That's fine with me.
All right. I actually have a coin in my pocket.
We can put that actor's name as an honorable mention.
I'm in for that.
Or Carrie Ools as the
Carrie Ools'
Ools'
career as an
Okay.
honorable mention. All right. So whoever gets this right will be our main Necronomicon, and then we will have 2 additional sub add-ons.
Honorable mentions. They don't
Honorable
get to-
mentions. Yes, honorable mentions. I like that.
They don't ever get to be an option that we could maybe possibly think to never bring back because they won't because they suck. But
Yes.
they'll be
Jen,
mentioned.
I will let you call it.
Heads.
It is heads.
All right, so
That's
Helena.
2 for 2.
Yes, you are good at this.
Hey.
All right. So Helena is in our Necronomicon.
with an add-on,
So long and good night. You got that?
Yeah, very, very well played, Mike.
with an add-on.
Of the
What?
spirit of Calvin Hawthorne and the career of Carrie Yules.
Shane, do you have something to say?
Yes, my eulogy portion of this will only be going to Helena because we only do it for the main person being added. Helena, you suck. Yeah, you progressed the plot, but you kind of progressed the plot of one of the worst movies I had the pleasure of seeing on this podcast. And for that, I hate you. But we honor you here in our Necronomicon because, to be honest, we definitely don't want to honor any of the other characters in this. So welcome to the Necronomicon.
All right, you're in it.
And the other 2 can just sit on the sidelines and
Yeah.
dream of coming back because they will never.
Yes. Someone who will come back, though, is our good buddy Mike G.
Mike, thanks for coming
Aw.
on, dude. It's always a pleasure to have you on. We always have a blast. Without your ideas, we would be very limited,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back. Got nothing to plug, but listeners, follow these guys. Give them a 5-star. Takes 2 seconds. Just do it.
I will tell you this, which you already know. I won't say what episode it is you'll be back on, but I will mention that the next episode you are on, you won't be alone because you will be on with good buddy Sauce McGavin.
That is true.
Because we
That's
have
true.
a big roundtable discussion planned for that movie.
Wow. Can I get another boner check?
Boner check?
Yeah. Me and Sauce together.
Oh, I'm good.
It's going to be a big 5-person, but it's going to be a fun one, that episode.
a lot of
Can't wait.
maybe it's been a bad movie here, but a lot of boners were had.
Well,
Yeah.
by Mike mainly. It's kind of weird.
But next week, unfortunately, Christmas is now over, but we are still doing a Christmas.
Yes, because there
movie.
is one more Monday in December. For those of you out there, we will say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays. Because Christmas is coming right after this is airing.
Be safe out there, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say drink eggnog.
Drink a lot of eggnog.
Drink it up.
We're the
And drink it
nog-
responsibly.
Exactly.
Nog boys.
Nog up, dude.
If we were having any Yuletide doubts about this movie, we just finished it. It's over now. So no going back. But now we will never have to watch it again. So
That's true.
I just want to point out I watched this movie 2.5 times to get ready for this podcast.
2 for me.
What you should do is watch what we're going to be reviewing next week, right after this movie, as a palate cleanse. Because next week, the final podcast is reviewing the 2005 classic Santa's Sleigh.
It is a comedy horror starring wrestling legend Bill Goldberg.
Yeah,
so worth it.
And he
So worth
is
it.
Santa Claus.
not any ordinary Santa Claus. He is demonic Santa Claus.
Yes. After going through this movie, we knew the listeners needed a nice palate cleanse. So we're going very fun.
Very fun. It's a wild ride. It's a lot of fun. So we'll be doing that next week to close out December. And we've got a lot of great stuff coming up. A lot of cool guests in January.
Yes, we got a lot of guests coming up. We won't mention any names just yet. But with all that said, we are the final podcast signing off. And we will see you next week in hell. So if you haven't already, please follow us on Facebook and Twitter at The Final Pod Ever. Follow us on Instagram at The Final Podcast. And if you haven't, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple. It really, really helps Apple, push out our content and recommend us to other people to listen to.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
All right, Brian, let's go watch Shan do his thing.
I'm just going to go watch Santa's Sleigh again because I enjoyed that
Hell
movie.
Yeah.
I will be right back. I really have to go to the bathroom.
Oh, guys, go. Watch him do his thing.